wishes to welcome you to the 74th Grey Cup Championship. Amateurs de football, bienvenue au stade BC Place pour le 74e match de la Coupe Grey. Introducing the starting offensive lineup of the Eastern Champions. Voici maintenant les joueurs partants en attaque pour les champions de l'Est, les Hamilton Tiger Cats. At center, le centre, numéro 63, number 63, Marv Allemagne. Left guard, garde à gauche, numéro 58, number 58, Jason Riley. Right guard, garde à droite, numéro 56, number 56, Dale Sanderson. Left tackle, bloqueur à gauche, numéro 66, number 66, Miles Gorel. Right tackle, bloqueur à droite, numéro 67, number 67, Ralph Scholes. Wide receiver, receveur éloigné, numéro 75, number 75, Ron Ingram. Wide receiver, receveur éloigné, numéro 80, number 80, Steve Stapler. Slot back, demi-inséré numéro 1, number 1, Tony Champion. Slot back, demi-inséré numéro 23, number 23, Rocky DiPietro. Halfback, demi, numéro 34, number 34, Walter Banda. Fullback, centre arrière, numéro 35, number 35, Jed Tommy. Quarterback, le quart, numéro 2, number 2, Mike Kerrigan. The head coach, l'entraîneur-chef, Al Bruno, the assistant coaches, ses adjoints, and the rest of the Hamilton Tiger Cats et les autres champions de l'Est. Now, introducing the starting defensive lineup of the Western Division champions. Voici maintenant les joueurs partants en défense des champions de l'Ouest, the Edmonton Eskimos. Right hand, ailier à droite, numéro 88, number 88, Tom Tooney. Right tackle, plaqueur à droite, numéro 75, number 75, John Mandarich. Left tackle, plaqueur à gauche, numéro 92, number 92, James Zachary. Left hand, ailier à gauche, numéro 36, number 36, Stuart Hill. Left linebacker, secondaire à gauche, numéro 43, number 43, Craig Schaefer. Middle linebacker, secondaire intérieur, numéro 30, number 30, Danny Bass. Right linebacker, secondaire à droite, numéro 49, number 49, Frank Balkovac. Cornerback, demi de coin, numéro 28, number 28, Ron Howard. Halfback, demi, numéro 29, number 29, Jeff George. Safety, le maraudeur, numéro 24, number 24, Phil Jones. Halfback, demi, numéro 6, number 6, Cliff Toney. Quarterback, demi de poids numéro 4, number 4, Greg Harding. The head coach, l'entraîneur-chef, Jackie Parker. The assistant coaches, ses adjoints, and the rest of the Edmonton Eskimos et les autres champions de l'Ouest.
Whit, you've got to promise me that you will not tell the Eskimos that I picked Hamilton to win. They looked scary coming out of there today.
Patrick, both teams looked very intense as they were introduced to the crowd here at the stadium at BC Place. Two teams that are very fired up for this football game, the 74th edition of the Grey Cup. And reporting during the course of the game from the sidelines, let's join Al McCann and Steve Armitage.
Well, thank you, Don. Down here at the Eskimo bench, there's concerns because this young football club have only 8 players with Grey Cup experience, and all week long they've had to live with the fact that they are the heavy favorites, and they know that Matt Dunnigan, their star, does have a chronic elbow problem. But all that aside, they also realize they're on a roll. They've won 3 in a row. They look awfully good, and the same team that plays today is the team that demoralized British Columbia just 1 week ago, and they would dearly love to bring Jackie Parker his first ever Grey Cup championship as a coach and his first Grey Cup championship in 30 years. We'll know in just about 2.5 hours from now. Let's go over across the field to the Hamilton bench and Steve Armitage.
Al, first of all, I have something to put your mind at ease. We do not have horses here at BC Place Stadium. For those of you that don't remember, Al McCann was covering a game at McMahon Stadium in Calgary when he was run down by the Stampeders horse. Fortunately, he wasn't injured. Al, the only horses we're going to have here today will be at halftime, but you don't have to worry about those. And speaking of injuries, I had a chance to talk to the Hamilton Ticats a few moments ago, and they tell me that 2 players that might have played in this game definitely won't appear this afternoon. John Malinowski, who is out with a knee injury, and Les Brown, who is out with a hamstring pull. Both of those players were involved in injury situations against the Toronto Argonauts last weekend. That's about it for the Hamilton Ticats, outside of a bunches of bruises that they picked up in a very physical series against the Argos. Right now, we're going to midfield and the official toss of the coin.
63, Marv Alamang, and 27, Paul Bennett from the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And from the Eskimos, the captains, 92, James Zachary, and 59, Leo Blanchard.
Hamilton, it's your option. Are you going to pick now or the second half? Now, kick, receive, or choose an end. Take the ball, which it be kicked from. Hamilton will receive.
Well, it's not surprising that they took the football. They did win the toss, and let's face it, if you're playing in the biggest game of the year, you want to get the jump.
Particularly when you're playing indoors and weather is not going to be a factor. They do want the football. An
Moving into center
statistic
field
about these two teams is that during the course of regular season play, the Edmonton Eskimos yielded 1 less point than the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And these two teams over their last dozen games. Edmonton with a 9-2-1 record, Hamilton 8-3-1. Remember, Hamilton started 1-5, and that 8-3-1 record coincides with the emergence of Mike Kerrigan as a starting quarterback.
There's another statistic that should be remembered. Hamilton has not beaten Edmonton in their last 15 games. It's almost inevitable that that streak has to end sometime, doesn't it? Let's go to midfield right now. There's the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Doug Mitchell, holding for the Honorable Otto Jelinek. He got away a 45-yarder a year ago. Ooh, that's a good one as well. I told him, though, he's got to practice his hang time.
Well, if Paul Osbaldiston gets into trouble and some team is looking for a placement kicker, perhaps The Honorable Otto Jelinek will volunteer. That was a pretty good kick.
Let me just add something else. I ran into a gentleman by the name of Harold Wright, I believe his name was, from Alberta. And I asked him, I said, who are you cheering for? He said, well, of course, the Eskimos. He said, but you know what? Deep in my heart, I'd like to see Al Bruno win the Grey Cup because he does represent so many of us who never get the acclaim we're entitled to. He said, Al Bruno, nobody ever says he's a great coach, and yet this is the third straight year that his team is in the Grey Cup.
Mid-season, everybody is talking about Al Bruno. Will he or won't he survive the season? And as you said, 3 straight Grey Cups. On the other side of the field, you know, there have been very few outstanding players, particularly quarterbacks, who have parlayed a great career as a player into success as a coach. Well, Jackie Parker may be the exception to that theory. Jackie Parker in 1983, when he replaced Pete Catella, who was fired in midseason, many thought it was a Band-Aid approach, but each year that he has been the head coach, the Eskimos have improved upon their record. We're ready now for the national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, ton front nation de plus glorieux. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
And all the excitement of the CFL championship game is just around the corner. On CTV, this is Grey Cup 86 from BC Place in Vancouver.
It's going to be a great football game. I'm Pat Marsden. With me, Leif Pedersen and Frank Rigney. We're pumped up. The two teams are pumped up. Let's go to the field right now as we prepare for the opening kickoff. And it will come to Bender at the 14-yard line. Bender gets it to the 30, which is not the greatest return that you'll ever see, before Ron Howard was there to push him out of bounds. A 61-yard kickoff, only a 15-yard return, and there is the way they will line up. Mike Kerrigan is as sweet a looking quarterback as you will see. His setup is unbelievable. He can throw with the best of us.
Well, he certainly had a great game. But, Pat, I think the most significant change that Hamilton made was to put Tony Champion in as a slot back. They've got 3 deep threats and then, of course, the reliable Rocky DiPietro.
So from their 28, Kerrigan comes out throwing. Just as well for him that the ball was underthrown, because Greg Harding would have been in the end zone going the other way. Looking for Steve Stapler was Kerrigan.
A little surprising, Pat, coming right out throwing the football. If you take a look at that big offensive line of the Hamilton Ticat, of course, Miles Gurrell, the Eastern nominee as lineman in the country, 6'8", 290 pounds.
He's a big one. And let me tell you something about Mike Kerrigan. He has completed 57% of his passes, but he did have a lot intercepted. This time he fires over the head of Walter Bender, and that is not exactly what the Ticats wanted. They wanted to come out, establish some kind of an offense, and instead it's 2 plays and out.
Well, I think what they would really like to do is not find themselves in the situation they were just in, 2nd and long. It's not a good situation against the Edmonton Eskimos. They can put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and of course those first 2 passes by Mike Kerrigan, not very good.
Leif, I think if there's one big advantage in this football game in the specialty teams, I think it's right now Paul Esbalison is likely going to be outkicked quite badly today.
That is not a particularly good kick, except this much. He got a good roll out of it. Tom Richards was not able to catch it on the fly, so he nets 40 yards on that punt. Does Paul Osbaldiston. And now we are going to see the man that I consider to be really the ultimate Canadian quarterback, Matt Dunnigan.
Well, he's one of the best, and I know I've said many times before, if I was starting my football team, that's the guy I'd want to have at quarterback.
And some guys who can catch the football. Doug Allen is the newcomer in there. He played against BC last week, the brother of Calgary's Gary Allen. Dunnigan was hit from behind. The ball comes loose. And Hamilton has recovered at the 35. Oh, big Grover Covington, number 77, a guy who's going to put all kinds of pressure. And there is Leo Ezrins. Ezrins got the football. Covington got the hit. And the first big break of the ball game goes to the Ticats.
Well, when you come in as an underdog, you like to start off with something good happening to you. And that time, of course, the pressure of Grover Covington, the ball is loose. I believe it was Leo Ezrins that made the play, but Hamilton's in great shape.
Okay, it's still scoreless. We're just moments into this game. Grey Cup 86 will be back in just a moment.
We're talking to Canadians about taking charge of their financial futures because security and independence are important to us all. The life and health insurance industry recognizes that financial success means different things to different people. That's why we offer a wide choice of products, like RRSPs, disability insurance, retirement income funds, annuities, and many other savings and protection plans. To learn more, talk to your life insurance agent.
Chevy S10s from GM, Canada's #1 in truck sales.
You gotta keep working at staying #1.
And GM stays #1, making Chevy S10 pickups and maxi cabs the kind of value only #1 can make.
You gotta keep making the hardest trucks on the road.
Chevy puts more into building every new S10 with the quality and reliability you want.
You gotta keep working at staying #1. Way to go, Chevy!
Well, he's a very effective linebacker, and he was also a ball hawk at this moment as we take a look at Leo Ezrins. He gives possession to the Ticats at the Edmonton 35-yard line. Dan Huckluck, number 30, is in the ball game replacing Walter Bender, and maybe we could get Steve Armitage to tell us why as soon as he finds out. Kerrigan going deep. Touchdown, Hamilton. Steve Stapler. The little double pump fake. And Stapler got in behind the corner, Greg Harding.
Oh, what a beautiful throw. Pat, does that remind you of Stapler's catch in the Eastern Final game? Just a perfect throw by Mike Kerrigan.
Well, Riggs, I suspected they were going to go after Greg Harding because he's the guy you can get in behind. Stapler ran a hook and go, a perfect throw by Mike Kerrigan. And, you know, when you get a turnover, you, of course, love to take advantage of it. Hamilton did it pretty quickly.
One-play drive.
Well, there is no question that the speed at the receiver spots is definitely in favor of the Hamilton Ticats. You've got Ingram and Stapler on the outside, Tony Champion playing in the slot, and Rocky DiPietro to pick up all that garbage over the middle as the Ticats shock the Eskimos and jump out in front 7-0.
Well, of course, I'm sure so many people wondered, how will Mike Kerrigan handle the pressure today in the biggest game of his life so far? A couple of bad passes on the first series, but that time a beautiful strike to Steve Stapler.
Well, that's a very, very important leap, is it not, early in the football game to give a young guy like that confidence. You can't do it any better than that.
And the offensive line did a superb job in giving him time to throw. He was able to step up at 6'4". He's got great sight lines downfield, and boy, what a way to start, especially if you're the underdog.
And they really do resent the fact that so few people have had much confidence in their chance of winning this football game. In speaking with a number of the Ticats, they said the Eastern Conference was shut out in the Schenley balloting. Nobody thinks we're good enough to play against the Edmonton Eskimos. We'll find out later this afternoon.
Well, it took them 1 minute and 35 seconds to put the first major on the board. That's quick enough.
And I think we're going to have a lot of them here this afternoon, Riggs, on both sides. This will be Tom Richards from his 19-yard line. And Richards fights his way out over the 35 to about the 38. Let's go to Steve Armitage.
Thank you, Pat. With me now is Miss Grey Cup 1986, Mary Jeffrey from the Calgary Stampeders. Mary, congratulations. Was it the thrill of a lifetime being named Miss Grey Cup?
It certainly was. It's what a lot of girls dream of, and I guess I was just the lucky one that night. I feel very proud and honored.
The spirit here in Vancouver has been absolutely terrific.
It is incredible. The hotels are just beaming with excitement. It's just wonderful.
Who are you picking to win the game?
Well, I hope the West wins. I hope Edmonton wins, but of course the best team's going to win, so we're just here to enjoy the game.
Congratulations once again. Back to you, Pat.
The ball was overthrown by Dunnigan, intending it for Chris Skinner. Mark Streeter came up and gave him a little shot, too, as the ball went over his head. I think the Ticats want to be as physical as they have been at any time this year.
Well, of course, Mark Streeter is one of the more physical defensive backs in the league, but you know, you've got Jim Rockford, number 26, playing the corner. He has very little experience. On first down there, Hamilton was in his own defense to try and protect that. I'm sure you're going to see quite a bit of that.
2nd and 10, Eskimos. Well, that is, of course, what Hamilton wants to prevent. They do not want Dunnigan running all over the field. They put good pressure on him, but they couldn't contain him. He ends up picking up 14 yards before finally that man, 31, Ben Zambiazzi, made him pay the price.
Well, Pat, so far, neither one of these football clubs has brought a linebacker. They're trying to rush the opposing quarterbacks with just 4 people. And to rush Matt with 4 people, you've got a tough spot staying in your lanes. He'll take off with that football every time they do that.
Out to the 52-yard line was Dunnigan. The handoff goes inside, and Chris Skinner will pick up about 3 or 4 yards.
Riggs, I think you made a great point about only rushing 4 people, but I really suspect that Hamilton is a little nervous about coming with the blitz because they don't want to get Jim Rockford, their young cornerback, locked up on a Brian Kelly or a Doug Allen one-on-one in a blitz situation.
And I'm a little bit surprised that they left Rockford on the corner. I thought that Howard Fields might end up playing the corner. However, it is 2nd down, about 7 yards to go for the Eskimos from midfield. And again, down goes Matt Dunnigan. Oh, there is just fantastic pressure. David Sauvé, Frank Robinson, Mike Walker, they all met at the quarterback. And of course, this is what the Ticats have done so well this year. They have rushed the opposing quarterback. They got 77 sacks. They were 4th best in the CFL.
Yes, and their 2 meetings with the Eskimos this year, they had totally 8 sacks, and Frank Robinson's just had a great 1986. He's had 4 sacks on the year himself, and all those linebackers are excellent at the blitz.
You know, the one thing, too, Pat, I think the Hamilton Ticats probably do better than anybody else in the Canadian Football League, and that get that pressure from their down linemen. You know, a lot of people have to get linebackers in there to put pressure on you. Hamilton doesn't.
Oh, Tom Dixon shanks this one. Wayne Lee takes it at his 30-yard line. And Lee fights his way over the 40 to the 41. You know, Riggs, this game is reminiscent to me of the first Grey Cup that Huey Campbell coached in, and we'll get back and talk about that in just a moment, right after I pass along the reminder that Hamilton is out in front, 7-0 in Grey Cup 86. We'll be back in just a moment.
We are what you might call experts at putting things away.
Yeah, we put a few goals away, Bobby.
You've even put away a couple of wingers, Gordy.
Ooh, me? Never.
But hockey isn't the only thing we know. We also know our beer. That's why we drink Miller Lite.
Light tastes great.
And it tastes less filling than regular beer.
So how do we know so much about Light?
Well, let's just say, Gordy, that after a game, we like to put away more than just our equipment.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
The All-Canada Get It and Forget It battery sale. Get it for a limited time from only $63.95, the Delco Freedom Live Eye battery. Then forget it. It's warranted for 60 months. Compare them to batteries costing $20 more. The Delco Freedom, the Live Eye battery. Now several models specially priced from $63.95. Sale ends January 15th, 87. Get it and forget it. It keeps an eye on itself. At participating GM dealers or Delco battery retailers where you see this sign.
Riggs, the point I was going to make, back in that Grey Cup year when Edmonton played Montreal, the Eskimos were really gung-ho, and they came out of the chute jumping and hollering and screaming, and Montreal walked out like they were on their way to the office and won the game by 40-8 or something. And today I found the same thing. Hamilton was very businesslike, and the other guys were, really pumped up, but it hasn't transformed itself here on the field. This is Bender. Oh, and he slips the first tackle that would have had him back in the backfield. It was Frank Balkovic, the linebacker, who made the good penetration, but he wasn't able to wrap him up.
Pat, I'll tell you one thing. It's easy to take that enthusiasm away from a ball club. In the first 2 plays, they fumble the football, and then they have 6 points put up against them.
No, you're right.
Well, there's a stat that the league is keeping this year, and it's the takeaway giveaway category. And, of course, Hamilton was a +10 this year, and that, of course, ranks second in the CFL, and already the one big turnover they've been able to get.
It's second down, 6 yards to go. Kerrigan lofts it out there to Bender. He wasn't able to make the catch. The ball was right on the money, but Craig Schaefer was right on Walter Bender.
Well, once again, he had pretty good protection, Frank, to throw that football. He seems to be having a little trouble throwing to the right side. The ball sailing a little bit. That is a tough catch for a running back coming out of the backfield. Looking back over your shoulder, try to make it, although Walter Bender just made an outstanding catch last week in Toronto.
So Paul Osbaldiston is in to kick for the Ticats, standing at his 30. Waiting is Steve Howlett, 89, and Tom Richards. That one was very nearly blocked. This is Richards from the 34-yard line, and he only gets to about the 36 before he's dropped.
Well, Danny Bass came very close to blocking that punt, and if that's one area of concern for the Ticats, it's their kicking game with either Paul Osbaldiston or Steve Stapler when he's in punting. These guys are not quick at getting the ball off, and there you see Danny Bass almost got it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that if he could have one injury return, it would be Bernie Ruoff to come back and handle punting and the field goal. Well, let's see if the Eskimos can get on track here. They have the ball outside their 35-yard line, first down. Dunnigan over the middle. Chris Skinner makes the catch, then drops the football, and Ticats have the ball.
Well, they're going to count it as a reception.
Yeah, they're snake bit so far.
Looks like Ben Zambiazzi making the play, the outstanding middle linebacker, number 31 of the Ticats, and the second big turnover of the football game in the first 5.5 minutes goes once again against the Eskimos.
Well, it's Zambiazzi who really strips the ball loose from Chris Skinner. That was a great throw by quarterback Matt Dunnigan. A good play, and Skinner's got to hang on. Now, he's had trouble late in the year hanging on to the football, but at this point in time, not too many things going right for the Eskimos.
So the Ticats with possession in midfield. Kerrigan's pass is dropped by Rocky DiPietro. Ron Howard was the cornerback defending on that side.
You know, as you look at this receiving core of the Hamilton Tiger Cats right now, they've really got the perfect balance. 3 guys like Ingram, Stapler, and Champion that can go deep at any time, and then a guy like Rocky DiPietro who is so dependable on those medium-range patterns.
And then a guy like Walter Bender coming out of the backfield. So it's second down and 10. Kerrigan floats that one up. Ingram goes down. Ticats want an interference call. There will be none forthcoming. As we go to the sidelines in Steve Armitage.
Pat, the reason you didn't see Walter Bender in the lineup for Hamilton in the early going was he had too much stickum on his hands. He had to come to the bench and wipe it off, and that's the reason he didn't go in the early going.
You know, it's funny. I thought maybe they had just made the move to put Huckluck in there to pass block, because on that one play, they, of course, did get the touchdown. Osbaldiston, boy, he does take a lot of time. Gets this one away, however. And Steve Howlett zigged when maybe he should have zagged and is wrapped up at the 18-yard line. The special teams of the Ticats are playing like they're possessed. Pat Brady was first down, number 51. Oh, what a beautiful facility it is here in British Columbia. BC Place Stadium, as fine a building to watch any sporting event is. And Riggs, I'll tell you, you're so fortunate, because some of the places we go to, you know, should be destroyed, and here you walk in and you get all pumped up.
Well, there's close to 60,000 CFL fans enjoying the activity so far. The Ticats leading 7-0.
Oh, Dunnigan has his man, Brian Kelly, but the pass was overthrown. Lance Shields was defending against Brian Kelly.
Well, that's a matchup they've tried to get during the regular season. In fact, Brian Kelly was able to get in behind Lance Shields in a regular season game to win in Hamilton. But this young cornerback, Lance Shields, he's had 8 interceptions this year. He's played really well. He's had USFL experience and, of course, came to Hamilton last year on a 21-day trial. He's played well.
Second and 10, and what appears to be an anti-Edmonton crowd gets on Dunnigan a little bit. And again, he's dropped. Well, when they write the story of this football game, they better talk about that young man, David Sauvé, because, you know, there was some discussion about whether or not Al Bruno was doing the right thing by allowing Sauvé to play as opposed to Rod Skillman.
Pat, what a tremendous job they do with their front people, but that time the Hamilton Ticats do bring their linebackers. Ben Zambiazzi comes from the middle, and almost all of them meet at the quarterback. Just great pressure.
There they all are. And there is Sauvé.
Zambiazzi got a piece of him as well, and Dixon's going to have to kick from close to his own 5-yard line.
It's interesting. Dave Sauvé originally was drafted by Edmonton. Couldn't make their club and went to Hamilton.
Touchdown, Hamilton. Mark Streeter blocked the punt. And then you saw the recovery by Jim Rockford.
Talking about the Hamilton Ticats, Paul Balderson taking time. Dixon certainly didn't get that one off very quickly, but once again, the Ticats just pouring through the offensive unit of the Edmonton Eskimos. Mark Streeter, I believe, was the Ticat that blocked the kick.
Of course, Jim Rockford, 26, the young rookie, falls on it, and what a break for the Ticats.
Well, this is a nightmare of a first quarter for the Eskimos. I would think there'd be the odd guy in the stands who bet with the 12 points who might be enjoying the situation right now. It is 14-0. Hamilton shocking Edmonton. Grey Cup 86 will be back in just a moment. Well, the Edmonton Eskimos have had the ball 4 times and turned it over on 3 of those occasions, including this block punt by Mark Streeter, recovered by Rockford in the end zone for the second touchdown of the ball game for the Ticats.
How about Jim Rockford? If Les Brown doesn't hurt his knee, of course, Rockford doesn't even play today, and here in the first quarter, he's got a touchdown. Not bad.
This is Tom Richards from about his 18-yard line. And Richards, with a good return, is out over the 40 to about the 42. Riggs, let me ask you this. How long will Coach Parker go with Matt Dunnigan with the kind of pressure that he's been subjected to? Does he go to Damon Allen or not?
Well, he won't hesitate to change quarterbacks, Pat. He's done that all year long, but I don't really think you can fault Matt so far. He's had so much pressure on him, just right in his face immediately. What he's got to do here, I think, is start throwing a couple of little screens, draws, try to take something away from that Ticat defense or just teeing off on him.
And that one was very nearly picked off. Well, Mark Streeter, who's obviously very much interested in being one of the candidates for the Carling O'Keefe Defensive Game Star, has really played well in this opening quarter.
Well, it's the second time Hamilton, they just get in that zone defense on first down, and Mark Streeter's job is to get out as quickly as he can into the flat area and get underneath the out pattern. And he did a super job and almost came up with one. He had 9 interceptions on the year.
That Hamilton defensive secondary averages very close to 6 years pro experience. They swing it out to Milson Jones. The ball is ruled incomplete. For a split second, it appeared as though Jake Ireland was going to rule that a fumble. But he said no, incomplete forward pass. But again, it's 2 downs and out.
And Frank Robinson, the linebacker, just did an outstanding job of coverage. He did not see the football, but he was certainly right there
Well, it was that little swing screen pass, and sometimes you don't have much luck because Frank Robinson was on Milson Jones. Man-to-man, he was right there just as the ball arrived.
You know, it's not as though Hamilton is moving the ball all that effectively against Edmonton. It's the fact that the Eskimos have turned it over 3 times. So Dixon is back to punt once again on 3rd and 10. This is a beauty. Paul Bennett is back to his 19. And Bennett is out over the 30 to about the 33-yard line. Hamilton is playing exceptionally well in all facets of this game. Let's go to Al McCann.
Well, Pat, veteran Bill Stevenson would like to be helping his Eskimo mates, but Bill, so far, disaster for your team. What a terrible start.
Well, I think what's happening here, we made a few mistakes, but Hamilton's changing their defense up. All year long, they've gone with certain kinds of defenses, and now they're blitzing us like crazy. I think the reason they're doing that is because their offensive line has been adjusted so much. We've got different people playing all different kinds of positions, and I think they're trying to confuse us by just blitzing all over the place, and that's why we're having most of the problems right now. I think we'll be able to get through this stuff, though, and come back, because our defense is playing awesome, and I think we're going to be able to come back from this, and I think we're going to win this anyways.
Okay, Bill.
Well, Mike Kerrigan rolled to the left, stopped, fired the ball, and it was closer to more Edmonton Eskimos than Hamilton Ticats.
Once again, good time to throw the football, though. There's no question the Ticats are winning the game up front, both offensively and defensively against the Eskimos so far.
2nd down, 10 yards to go. Hamilton. Kerrigan looks, fires, going deep again for Stapler, and he's got the football inside the 40-yard line at the 35. Oh, what a beautiful catch by Steve Stapler from San Diego State. He's been in this league 7 years and just having a career ball game.
Well, I'll tell you, who's not having a career game is Greg Harding, because on 2nd and long, Edmonton said, we're going to play a deep zone. Now, when you do that, he's got that deep corner of the field, and he shouldn't let Stapler get in behind him. Stapler, though, makes a great effort.
43 yards the game. Just a beautiful catch by Stapler. The ball right on the money by Mike Kerrigan, and the Ticats are back in Edmonton territory at their 35-yard line. On the draw, this is Walter Bender trying to get to the outside now, but he's wrapped up by Craig Schaefer after a pickup of only about 3. He wanted to go inside, then he got to the outside but couldn't get around the corner. Steve Armitage, what's happening?
Pat, I've got Mark Streeter with me down here on the Ticats bench. Mark, your team is playing inspired football.
Oh, yes, we are. As far as the block, I like to say I'll give God all the praise and glory. Mitch Price freed me up. I blocked the ball. Jim Rocker fell in the end zone, and that's where we play ball as a team unit and inspired, as you said.
Good luck, Mark. Pat?
Well, the pickup was only a couple of yards, so make it 2nd and 8. And again, Walter Bender drops the football. That's a drive-killing drop pass that doesn't do a whole lot to pump up your offense.
Well, Frank, I think it's apparent now here in the first quarter that Edmonton has decided they're not going to blitz Mike Kerrigan too much this afternoon. Maybe they feel with the speed in that receiving core, they don't want to get locked up in too many one-on-one situations, but they're just coming with 4 men, and they're not getting any pressure on Kerrigan at all.
This will be a 39-yard field goal attempt by Paul Osbaldiston, well within his range. He was drilling them through from around midfield in practice. It is good. Can you believe this?
That kick was almost blocked. We already had one.
I mean, who could have predicted that in the first quarter the Edmonton Eskimos would be trailing 17-0?
Number 92, Zachary splits the seam there, comes inside of Leo Ezrins, I believe, almost blocks that kick. It's been a strange first quarter.
It really has.
Completely dominated by Al Bruno and his Ticats.
You know, Al Bruno has to be so pleased to have been able to get Paul Osbaldiston. You know, this year he kicks a 51-yarder in the rain in Regina to give them a tie. He kicks the game winner against the Ottawa Rough Riders. This young fella's just done a great job.
3 minutes, 30 seconds left to play in the opening quarter. 17-0. Hamilton, 12-point underdogs coming into the ball game. Mark Jackson, number 5, is back along with Tom Richards, number 25, to receive the kick from this man. Osbaldiston is from the British Columbia area. Now this is Mark Jackson from his 15-yard line. He's finally covered at about the 35. He had his legs going so fast that he kind of tripped himself. Steve Armitage, what's happening?
Pat, we have an injury report from the Hamilton Ticap bench. Jim Rockford has gone to the dressing room. He split the underneath of his chin. He has gone in for stitches. And Pat, he's also gone in to get his pants repaired. He ripped his pants.
Well, of course, that means then, excuse me, Pat, that number 37, Terry Lean, will come in at the halfback spot. Howard Fields, number 16, moves out to the corner.
Number 37 is Terry Lane. Marco Sincar lines up opposite him, but the ball is handed inside to Milson Jones, and Jones gets to about the 39-yard line with a pickup of about 4 yards. Frank Robinson and David Sauvé, 43 and 88 respectively, make the stop. And there you take a look at Dunnigan looking at his wrist. He's got the plays written on adhesive tape there, and he just checks them over. And he's called it now on 2nd and 7. Obviously a passing play. Let's see where he goes. Hamilton blitzes on the play. They brought Terry Lane, and a penalty marker comes down. It'll be Leo Ezrins called for interference on Skinner.
Ezrins knew he was going to see that flag as well.
Forward pass interference. Hamilton, number 72. First down.
Well, Leo's been active.
Now, there's no question about this one. Skinner gives him a good move to the inside, and I think Leo Ezrins made the smart play. You're in a blitz situation like that. If he lets Skinner get away, he can go for a big one. No, Leo made the right move. Hold him and take the penalty.
Very good point that you make. It is first down, Edmonton, the ball at their 44-yard line. Quickly to Rick House. The ball comes free again, and they will rule no catch. In other words, it is not a fumble. And that's a bit of a break for the Eskimos, who desperately need one.
Frank, I was talking to Glenn Jackson, the fine linebacker of the BC Lions, the other night, and I said, Glenn, what would you do if you were the defensive coordinator of Hamilton in this game? He said, I would bring everybody I could against Matt Dunnigan. They've run safety blitzes, all-out blitzes, and, boy, they've been effective with it.
Here they come again.
This time the catch is made on the sidelines. That's the newcomer, Doug Allen, with Howard Fields bouncing him out.
What a great debut Doug Allen had last week for the Edmonton Eskimos. 3 catches in that football game against the BC Lions. One of them a 98-yard touchdown score. 124 yards total yardage against the BC Lions.
Not a bad way to break in.
Oh.
Well, as you can see, it's been anything but an offensive display to this point. Dunnigan is forced out right at the yardstick. Howard Fields again there to make the play defensively for the Ticats. And with 1:40 left to play in this opening quarter, allow me to put a bit of a damper on proceedings right now by offering sympathy to the family of a good friend of all of us in football, Ray Boucher. Ray Boucher was a referee in the Canadian Football League for many, many years and a close observer of the CFL scene. He passed away in Ottawa today. To Madeline and his family, we extend our deepest sympathy. It's second down, 11 yards to go. Edmonton with the ball on Hamilton's side of midfield as a penalty marker comes down, and Milson Jones doesn't catch the football.
I don't think I've seen
Edmonton, number 55.
I've seen a game where the ball is being dropped by so many different people. Obviously, weather's not a factor here at BC Place. Nobody can hold on.
Well, I think the nerves really get going in a Grey Cup game. And, let's face it, the Edmonton Eskimos have got some young guys on that club. Milson Jones, well, he hasn't played, and it's tough for these guys. But, you get 2 or 3 series, you think they'd work the jitters out.
Incidentally, the penalty was against 55, Kurt Chapman, the right guard.
I'll tell you one other thing. That Hamilton defense is really a physical defense, and the Edmonton Eskimo receivers know that. And every once in a while, you start thinking about that when you go to catch the football.
If you don't, you're stupid. What a beautiful punt by Dixon to Paul Bennett at the 8-yard line. Now, that's the best job that the cover team of the Eskimos has done here this afternoon. They're down to limit him to a return of just 6 yards after a 45-yard punt. Steve?
Pat, I'm standing on the sidelines behind the Hamilton bench holding the helmet that belongs to David Sauvé. You can see the shamrock. This is in honor of the late King Clancy, a good friend of the Hamilton Ticats and, of course, a good friend of their owner, Harold Ballard.
Harold is here today, or was to be here, and I'm sure he wouldn't have missed it for the world. And there was never a doubt in his mind. He told me, no question, we'll just stomp on those guys. Well, to this point, he's right, simply because the Eskimos haven't had too many breaks go their way. John Mandrich made the stop. As you take a look at Walter Bender, still down after carrying the football for a pickup of about 4 or 5 yards. It's an amazing thing. Hamilton's 17 points is the second most in the first quarter of any Grey Cup game. The record of 18 was achieved by Hamilton in the 1943 Grey Cup game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. There's Harold with Joe Zuger.
Well, Harold's having a great year so far. The Toronto Maple Leafs in first place. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, their 3rd Grey Cup in a row.
Looks great, too, doesn't he?
He sure does.
Way to go, Harold. You're not looking bad for an old-timer.
I tell you, the Ticats don't want to lose Walter Bender, and he looks like he's in a great deal of pain down there. Now, he's only averaged 3.8 yards when he's rushed with the football, but they want him as a primary pass receiver coming out of the backfield, and they do not want to lose him.
There was some suspicion that the way the Eskimos might stop that passing attack of the Ticats would be to really jam Tony Champion at the line of scrimmage. Have you noticed that they've been giving him the odd little shot?
Well, they've been playing so much zone defense. You know, the linebackers try and give him a shot, but Tony Champion is a true sprinter, got great quickness, and he's a tough guy to jam off the line of scrimmage.
Jackie, you know, has to be concerned, but Riggs, I think he's done an outstanding job this year.
Oh, he has without question. I think he's just as surprised as what has gone on in his first 10 minutes as anybody is. As we took a look at Bender, just in severe pain, obviously. Let's go down to Al McCann at field level.
Well, all is certainly not sweetness and light here on the Eskimo bench either. 17-0 the score, and Rod Conn up there, starting offensive guard, had his bell rung a little bit on the last play, and he was having problems remembering who his backup man even was, and I think he'll probably miss a series, although he says, I can play. But certainly, it's been a rocky start for the Grey Cup, at least the Western champions.
Al, what are they saying down there? What are the players muttering?
Well, the players are, concerned. This is a very young team, as you know, and the coaches are working with them and trying to keep them cool, and the injured players are trying to help. But they're stunned a little bit, and it's reminiscent of that Grey Cup a few years back when it was 20-1 for Ottawa at halftime.
Yeah, there's still so much time left in this game, and Edmonton has such an explosive attack that 17 points shouldn't really terrify them, but it's something to think about, I suppose.
I wouldn't be surprised, Pat, if Jack Parker sees fit to utilize Damon Allen if Nat doesn't get them going in a series or two.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise too many people, I wouldn't think. But in fairness to Matt, I mean, he hasn't had a whole lot of time to think about things back there.
Well, in fairness also to Dunnigan, they cough up the football. Chris Skinner, after a great throw, he read the zone perfectly, and it wasn't his fault. Things just haven't gone their way.
So it's second down, and let's call it 6 yards to go for the Ticats at their 18-yard line. Kerrigan again looking for Ingram, and this one is stolen away by Greg Harding. Oh, that's a magnificent interception, and isn't it nice to see that Harding comes up with the big play, because he has been victimized by Steve Stapler.
Pat, for one of the few times in this ball game, the Edmonton Eskimos come with a full blitz. You'll see their linebackers, Schaefer and Bass, coming in to try and put pressure on Kerrigan, and obviously man-to-man coverage. Leaf, you talked about Harding and the guy that they were going to try to pick on. They have been very successful until that play.
Well, he does a super job, and what you want to do as a defensive back is stay on the hip of the receiver and then make your break. He did it perfectly.
From the Hamilton 48-yard line, it is first down for Matt Dunnigan. And now he's going for the bundle. And Rick House and Brian Kelly collided, and one bounced off the goal post Kelly is a little slower getting to his feet. Fortunately, they're both all right.
Well, you can see the goalposts are still shaking, and this is pretty scary. Trying to go to Kelly on the post, but watch House hit him. They knock into that goalpost, and they're lucky somebody didn't get hurt badly.
Well, at the end of the first quarter, the score is Hamilton 17, Edmonton nothing. Grey Cup 86 will return with the second quarter in a moment.
Here's to the everyday things that end up being everything. Here's to all things simple, with casual clothing and footwear from Marks.
As we start the second quarter, it is second down, 10 yards to go. Dunnigan again in trouble. The ball again comes loose. Leo Ezrins was there to make the tackle. Zambiasi was there to recover the football. Hamilton has it back in Edmonton territory.
Lee, we've talked about it so much already in this first quarter of this football game, how that pressure of the Hamilton Ticats, first of all, they started the pressure with only the down linemen. Now they're bringing their linebackers, and almost nobody gets blocked.
Well, Zambiasi's the first one to get there. Ezrin strips the ball loose, and Big Ben Zambiasi comes up with the fumble recovery. But, you know, you look at championship teams, and you classify them in a number of ways. Do they have a good defense for starters? Hamilton has a great one.
They also have the football at the Edmonton 53. And rush it into about the 49-yard line. Danny Bass and James Zachary were there to make the tackle on Jed Tommy, who carried the ball for the first time on that particular occasion. You know, Kerrigan and Dunnigan, the two Irish field generals, have had something less than career games. Kerrigan is 2 out of 10 in passing. Dunnigan is 2 out of 9. But Kerrigan likes his chances better because he's out in front 17-0. Second down, 7 yards to go. Right over the middle to Ingram, and Ingram came within a step of breaking it all the way. He got inside Greg Harding. Harding made the shoestring tackle, otherwise it's end zone.
Well, I know this is one of the things that Don Southern was concerned about, getting caught in a blitz one-on-one. Ron Ingram that time on Greg Harding, and that's the area they've gone. They've had some big plays over there.
18 yards to pick up. First down, Ticats. The ball at the 30-yard line. There's the big stat. 3 turnovers to 1. Over the middle again, this time to DiPietro, who's wrapped up immediately by Danny Bass and only manages about 3 yards. Rocky said, well, nobody won any Shenleys. Maybe we will win the one that it's all about anyway. They've got a leg up on it with 12:55 left to play in the first half. 17-0 Hamilton, looking for more. Second down, 8 yards to go from the 28-yard line of the Eskimos. Kerrigan, Ford champion, picked off. Phil Jones with the interception. Well, the wily old veteran who played his college ball at Simon Fraser, Phil Jones, comes up with a big play.
Well, Edmonton brought Mark Jackson into the game as the 6th defensive back and played a 2-man deep zone, and Phil Jones gets the easy interception. I think he pulled a hamstring there as well.
12:35 left to play in the second quarter. 17-0 Hamilton leading Edmonton. Grey Cup 86 will be back in just a moment. Phil Jones may have saved the ball game for the Eskimos because trailing 17-0, you don't want to give another 7 up. 17, incidentally, seems to be the magic number right now. Hamilton leads 17-0. Edmonton has moved the football a total of just 17 yards.
But all defense of the Hamilton Tiger Cats here in the first half so far. Big turnovers.
Triggs, it's got to be just amazing for you to have seen Edmonton in the flesh last week. Looked like they could beat anybody in the world.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm really, really impressed with this Ticat defense. I think it was just dominating this football game.
Dunnigan collides in the backfield. Finally does pick up the ball. Has Brian Kelly, but it's picked up. Lance Shields, number 28, comes up with the big play again.
Well, we talked about Lance Shields. He's had a super year for the Ticats. Watch the hit by Ben Zambiasi coming up right there. Dunnigan saw him coming and floated it. Great reaction by Lance Shields to make the interception.
I think that play really tells you everything you want to know about how the Eskimos have played this afternoon. Matt takes the pass from center, bumps in to Milson Jones, and then throws the interception.
Looks a little like a fire drill, doesn't it? They do not look organized on offense.
So Hamilton has possession at their 38-yard line. Kerrigan's pass is caught by Tony Champion up around the 45. This is exactly now what they want. Got a penalty marker down. Is Mandridge headbutting somebody out there?
I think it may be roughing the passer.
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Hamilton, number 58.
Oh, it's going the other way. Jason Riley, number 58, the offensive guard, called for the infraction. He and John Mandridge having quite a battle out there so far this afternoon.
I don't know if you'll see after the ball was released. There goes Jason Riley, and he takes a shot at Mandridge in the back, and that's a good call. There's no sense in doing that.
Well, it nullifies what would have been a 6-yard gain as well.
The Eskimos have even more problems back.
You were saying about the problems, Al.
Phil Jones, who intercepted a while back, damaged his knee, and he's trying to walk it off, but that would mean Jeff Volpe, number 18, would have to go into the ball game. Either that or shuffle it around completely.
It's 1st and 25, and on the draw, they give to Walter Bender, and Walter's going no place. Danny Bass, the middle linebacker, number 30.
Frank, you saw Danny Bass a lot this season, and some people say this was his best ever.
Well, he had an excellent year. He, of course, leads the Eskimos in initial tackles, but you know the guy they've almost completely ignored here is Stuart Hill. I mean, Stuart Hill was the designated sacker, obviously led this football club in putting pressure on opposing quarterbacks, but he's been not a factor at all. Stuart Hill, 36.
So it's 2nd and 25. The ball is at the Hamilton 22-yard line. Penalty marker comes down. Time count violation against Kerrigan, insured.
You talk about Stuart Hill, Frank.
Time count violation. Hamilton, number 2.
Ralph Schultz, number 67, is that right tackle. And the only reason he is playing is because of the injury to John Malinowski. And if we haven't mentioned Stu Hill, it means that Schultz is doing a good job.
The ball is now back at the 18-yard line. They've got to get to the 49 for a first down. So
good luck.
Yeah, it's 2nd and 31. There aren't a whole lot of plays that are put in for that. Well, there was real confusion. Tony Champion went down before the ball got to him. Now has words with Cliff Toney. And Greg Harding has a word or two for him as well.
This has not been the most well-played football game I've ever seen.
Well, in all fairness to Tony Champion, you know, he played wide receiver for most of the year, and moving into the slot back position, the reads are entirely different, and he just got himself into the wrong spot.
Leaf, the Eskimos might have been a little suspect there. They had both of their backup defensive backs in the game, both Volpe and Jackson, because now Phil Jones has gone to the dressing room with that bad knee.
Thank you, Al McCann. Here's the punt from Paul Osbaldiston. Tom Richards gets into Hamilton territory at about the 53. And we had Wayne Lee. He was jawing it up a little bit with Greg Harding. No penalty marker down, however. It's 17-0. Hamilton leading Edmonton. Grey Cup 86 will be back in just a moment. He's the head coach of the Eskimos now, but when he played, he was selected the player of the quarter century. Jackie Parker knows what it takes to win, and he may well win the Coach of the Year trophy this year, or it may go to the man on the other side of the field, Al Bruno. The one we mentioned off the top of the show receives so little recognition and yet is so well liked by everybody that plays for him. First down, Eskimos from the Hamilton 52. Dunnigan's pass was nearly picked off by Jim Rockford, who's back in the ball game. He was looking for Doug Allen.
Dunnigan's hurt, Pat.
Yeah.
Mike Walker, number 61, who was second in the league in sacks this year with 21, tied with the toaster, Brett Williams, just unloads on Matt Dunnigan as he gets ready to throw the football.
Did he knock a tooth out? Because it seemed to me that's what Matt was picking up off the turf.
Contact lens, Pat.
Oh.
Matt is forever losing his contact lens.
Well, the first appearance by Damon Allen as he comes into the ball game, and as we mentioned, we didn't think there'd be any hesitation on changing quarterbacks from Jackie Parker's point of view. It did require an injury, but Damon Allen sees his first action.
And for those of you who don't watch a lot of Canadian football, he is the brother of Marcus Allen in Oakland. Excuse me, let's call it California. There was a procedure penalty, and that play will come back.
Brian Kelly, I think, did not have the correct snap count.
Offside, Edmonton number 70.
Once again, little things hurting the Eskimos. The turnovers have been the killers, but a little procedure penalty by Brian Kelly, and those are the little things that add up. You see Kelly at the top of the screen and just simply didn't know the snap count.
I honestly do believe that the Eskimos were so pumped up that they're out of sync. I mean, they came roaring out of that dressing room like they were on their way to war.
You know what, Pat? I think that's a tremendous point. Paul Bennett and his group said, we like to just stay on an even keel, and that's the way they've played.
Allen's pass intercepted. That's Howard Fields. Howard Fields gives Hamilton possession in Edmonton territory with 9 minutes and 38 seconds left to play in this second quarter.
I believe that is the 6th turnover against the Edmonton Eskimos in a quarter and a half of football. It's Damon Allen's first throw of the game, and the Hamilton Ticats will have it at the Eskimo 53 when we return. Grey Cup 86. We'll be right back.
This is ice on the left knee belonging to Walter Bender. He is now out of the game and will not be back into the game, maybe in the second half. Pat?
Thank you, Steve. There's Matt Dunnigan. He's going to get that contact lens all fixed up as the Hamilton Ticats take over at the Eskimo 53-yard line. Kerrigan's pass is caught by Steve Stapler for a first down inside the 40 at about the 38-yard line. Greg Harding made sure that he didn't get up and go any further.
Lee, you were talking earlier about the great job the offensive line of the Ticats is doing. Just watch this. Here's Stu Hill, number 36. He comes along with the other linebackers. They don't even get a couple of yards of penetration, let alone put any real pressure on quarterback Kerrigan. All the time in the world to throw the football.
Ralph Schultz again doing the job at that right tackle position for Hamilton. The give is inside to Dan Huckluck, and Huckluck will get very close to the 35-yard line before running into Craig Schaefer. And the reason, of course, that we emphasize Ralph Schultz is because he is playing right opposite Stuart Hill on many, many situations.
Well, he's been with the Ticats for 3 years. He's a big one, 6'5", 261, so you know he's got the physical tools.
It's second down, about 7 yards to go. Kerrigan's pass may have been deflected, nevertheless caught by Tony Champion at the 26-yard line. Jeff George, number 29, providing the defensive coverage. Go ahead, Al.
You know, I've never worn contact lenses, Pat, but Matt Dunnigan, I've seen him lose his maybe 5 or 6 times during the season, but this is the toughest he's ever had getting it back in. I asked him if there was any damage to the lens. He said no. I think it's probably the tension and nerves, but he finally did get it back into his eye.
It's first down. Ticats the ball just outside the Edmonton 25-yard line. Dan Huckluck on the draw gets inside the 25 to about the 23 before running into Tom Tuanay, number 88, and Danny Bass, the middle linebacker, number 30. Mike Kerrigan, let me tell you a little story about him that Wally Crowder of Toronto was telling me. Kerrigan was originally Eskimo property. And he came to Edmonton. They advanced him some expense money. But then he had an opportunity to go back to the New England Patriots. He went back. Edmonton released him at his request. And when he got to New England, he sent them all the expense money that they had paid him. Frankie Morris, who's the great scout of the Eskimos, said in his life in football, he's never known a player who ever sent back expense money.
There wouldn't be many, I can tell you that. Well, the good thing that Mike Kerrigan did on this drive, last time he took a chance and threw an interception. This time, he didn't get the first down, but what he did was throw a safe pass, no chance of being picked off, and now he's got his kicker, Paul Osbaldiston, in great shape.
The field goal try will come from the 30-yard line. Tom Porras with the hold. The kick is up. It is good. 7 minutes and 2 seconds left to play in the first half. The Eskimos aren't on the scoreboard yet, and Hamilton has a 20-point lead. They have had 9 possessions, those Edmonton Eskimos, and on 6 occasions, as Frank told you, they turned the ball over. Well, this would certainly rank as one of the great upsets, because Edmonton coming off a 13-win season, Hamilton only 9. They haven't beaten the Eskimos in 15 straight occasions. I mean, you would have had to think, as many did, that Edmonton had a lead pipe cinch game on their hands.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Pat. I think the Ticat defense came out and established themselves from the very first play. Grover Covington sacked Matt Dunnigan, caused a fumble. They put it in the end zone, and they've just totally taken it away from him. I
think you're absolutely right. Chris Skinner takes the handoff from Damon Allen, but he's wrapped up by Ben Zambiazzi, among others. Mitchell Price, 65, was in there as well.
I think we all felt that it would probably be the team that protected their quarterback the best that would, of course, win the football game. Every time Damon Allen or Matt Dunnigan is thrown, they've had a guy right in their face, and that really messes up the sight lines. Mike Kerrigan, he's had all day to throw the football.
Well, the Eskimos desperately need a big play. Let's see if Allen can provide it. Going deep for Brian Kelly, and it's knocked away at the final moment by Lance Shields. It's a solid secondary that the Ticats possess. The newcomer, Jim Rockford, is in there in place of Les Brown. But, I mean, otherwise, you've got people like Mark Streeter. He's been around 5 years. Paul Bennett has been in the league 10. Howard Field, 6 years. Lance Shields, 4. So they've got some experience where it counts.
Well, I find it a little surprising that they haven't thrown the ball at Jim Rockford. They've tested Lance Shields. He's had an interception, a couple of tipped balls. So I'm really surprised they haven't gone after the newcomers.
Tom Dixon, you see, fine afternoon for him, averaging 43 yards. With 5:50 left to play in the first half. This is Paul Bennett from his 31-yard line. And he gets to the 35, not any further. I'm Pat Marsden, along with Frank Rigney and Leif Pettersson, sitting in beautiful BC Stadium Place, watching an unbelievable display of defense by the Hamilton Ticats, who lead the ball game 20-0.
Well, they played their finest game of the season last week in Toronto. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, of course, coming back from the 26-point deficit, and they've just continued this afternoon right from where they left off last week.
Hard to believe that a quarterback who's completed 5 out of 17 enjoys a 20-point lead, but that is exactly what is the case.
I think the Eskimo quarterbacks have completed 5 to the Hamilton secondary.
Well, you can see the thinking of Mike Kerrigan has really changed now in the second quarter. With a 20-point lead, he's running the ball on first down. Early in the game, he was throwing every first down opportunity, but now I think they've become a little more conservative.
On that carry by Jed Tommy, the Ticats picked up a couple of yards, so make it 2nd and 8. The ball is at their 38-yard line. Kerrigan to a wide-open Tony Champion. Champion is down to about the 38-yard line. They blew the coverage in that Eskimo secondary. Jeff Volpe finally came across to make the stop. but no one was around Tony Champion, who picks up an easy 34 yards.
Well, he runs an out and up, and Steve Stapler, they take it to the inside and pull Greg Harding in with him, and that left Tony Champion wide open down the sidelines, and a good read by Mike Kerrigan.
Boy, I don't think I've seen a receiver that wide open for an awful long time.
Frank, he's got just a beautiful stride when he's running down that field, too. He's a true sprinter.
From the 38-yard line, Mike Kerrigan looks, fires, looking for Ingram. A penalty marker comes down.
Good
Pass
call.
interference will be against Greg Harding.
Well, Leaf, you were certainly very, very accurate early in this ball game.
Forward pass interference. Edmonton number 4.
When you said that they'd be picking on Greg Harding, number 4, they've done it with success 4 or 5 times now, and Harding's getting to the point where he's got to grab hold of somebody.
Well, I tell you, Greg Harding's a little nervous right here because they come with the blitz. He knows he's got man-to-man, and if Ingram gets by, he's beaten badly. So he just has to knock him down.
The ball is at the 19-yard line. First down, Hamilton. Ooh, good contact down there as Steve Stapler was looking for the touchdown pass, but Mark Jackson laid a good hit on him.
You know what they've done now, Pat? They've taken Greg Harding out of the game. They brought Mark Jackson in now to play that left corner. Jeff George, number 29, has moved over into Harding's spot on that right corner.
Well-delivered football.
Well, that's good timing by Mark Jackson, though, to get that helmet in there.
Good job. 2nd and 10.
The ball right at the 19-yard line. Kerrigan's pass over the head of Tony Champion. He jumped, gave it the one-handed shot, but couldn't come down with the football. So we are going to see Paul Osbaldiston once more.
Well, it's pretty much the same situation as the last drive. You know, don't do anything silly. Don't give up an interception, because the worst that's going to happen is Paul Osbaldiston comes out and gets another chance.
It'll be a 26-yard effort. Tom Porras, the backup quarterback, number 8, will put the spot down for him. It is good. Well, Paul Osbaldiston connects on his 3rd field goal of the first half. And with 3 minutes and 24 seconds left to play, I don't think there is anyone in the world who could have forecast that the Hamilton Ticats would be leading the Edmonton Eskimos 23-0. Well, let me ask both you guys, because you played in so many championship games. Frank, do you think the Eskimos may have left it on the field last weekend against BC?
I think, Pat, that they came out very, very nervous. They just could not handle the football, but more than that, they can't handle that defensive line of the Hamilton Ticats.
Dunnigan wanted to set up the screen. Does get the ball to Milson Jones, but like every other play, there are too many Ticats there. Leo Ezrins and Frank Robinson, both there to snuff out that screen pass.
Frank, you know, I honestly feel that the Edmonton Eskimos, of course, playing at home the last few weeks, had an advantage with the bad weather. There's no advantage in the dome.
23-0. Hamilton leads Edmonton. Grey Cup 86 will be back in just a moment. 2 minutes, 59 seconds left to play in the first half. There's your score, surprising it as it is. And Dunnigan drops the football again. The Ticats have it at the 33-yard line. Grover Covington, Mike Walker, they're all playing so well. There's Walker, number 61. Grover Covington, 77. He's been in Dunnigan's face all day. Just watch this.
Well, I had a long chat with Grover Covington and Ben Zambiasi at practice the other day. They said, yes, we can get pressure on Dunnigan. We're going to, and boy, were they right.
That, I believe, is the 3rd time that Dunnigan's put it on the ground. And including the very first offensive play for the Eskimos.
I mean, they're stripping the football at every chance today as well.
Kerrigan's pass was very nearly picked off by Danny Bass. He was looking for Rocky DiPietro, who was coming across the middle. Well, you're not likely to see a team in the Canadian Football League play any better defensively than you were watching Hamilton here this afternoon.
Of course, that's always been the story about the Hamilton Tiger Cats. When you go to describe them, you always, first thing you mention is their defense. It's carried them for a long way.
It's 2nd down and 10 for the Ticats, with the ball at the 33-yard line of the Eskimos. Kerrigan's pass is off Tony Champion's hands, and then also off the hands of Jeff Volpe. This has been a very strange football encounter.
Now, he really has not thrown the ball well in the last 3 series, and I guess the only saving grace in the back of his mind is he knows every time he's in field goal position. So, but that's a horrible pass.
Kerrigan is 7 for 21 for 149 yards. So that means we'll see Mr. Osbaldiston again. From the 40-yard line, he'll try his 4th field goal. And he is 4 for 4. And the Hamilton Ticats are now up by 26 points. No, but I mean, you talk about consistency. Osbaldiston's 4 field goals, 39, 30, 26, 40. Well, now you've got to go to the second half. And what do you say if you're Jackie Parker? Go out and have some fun? No, I mean, what can Jack say? You know, really.
Well, I think what he's got to say is, look, guys, we can't get it back all at once. We just got to go back to what we were originally trying to do. But the first thing they got to do is hold on to the football. They just give it up every time they get possession.
Dunnigan's pass is caught by Doug Allen for a 1st down at the 47-yard line. Boy, it would certainly help the Eskimo cause if they can move this ball downfield and pick up a major score before the half.
Well, Pat, you and I saw them earlier this year in Ottawa. They were down by 20 points. They were able to come back, and so we know they have that ability. Whether they can do it this afternoon, though, is another thing. This is a different defense.
We also saw them come from way back in the 4th quarter, led by Damon Allen against Hamilton, to win that one 24-23.
I was talking before about the weather conditions. You know, for the Eskimos, I think it's such a psychological edge at this time of the year to be playing at home, and they've had that edge over the teams they've played in the last few weeks. Here, there's no psychological edge. Everybody's got the nice conditions to play under.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Dunnigan's pass is dropped by Rick House.
Lee, how do you explain this? I mean, the ball is absolutely perfectly thrown.
Well, you know, I talked to Marco Sincar the other day. Pat, you and I had a chat with him, and I said, what are the sight lines like in here to catch footballs? He said, I don't like it. He said, I find it very difficult, the depth perception in here, and maybe some of the Eskimos are having trouble that way.
Dunnigan has only completed 3 passes this afternoon and is sacked once more by Grover Covington, who got all kinds of help from Mike Walker because it was Walker who made the presentation, or rather the penetration, and Covington got the sack.
You called it perfectly. It was that's what you want to do to Dunnigan. Force him back up the middle to where you're going to get some help. They ran a stunt. Covington gets the sack, but Walker really made the play.
Well, you know, you can make a lot of excuses for the Eskimos in terms of their offensive line, the changes and all that they had to go through. But that was Rudy Phillips, the best offensive lineman they have, that Covington beat. There's no excuse for that.
So on 3rd down and lots, Dixon is punting again. And this one bounces between Wayne Lee and Paul Bennett, picked up by Lee back at his 13-yard line, and he's dropped there. Larry Ruck, number 47, was first downfield. So now the Ticats have 1:58 to kill. They don't need any more points at this juncture. They just like to hang on to the football and make sure that they go to the locker room at halftime ahead by 26 points.
Yeah, I think what they're thinking right now, and I'm sure Al Bruno's talked to Mike Kerrigan about this, listen, we've got the big lead. We don't want to beat ourselves. If Edmonton's going to get back in this game, make them earn it. Don't give them anything cheap, the interceptions and the fumbles.
Starting from the 12-yard line. Pass is caught by DiPietro. He's wrapped up immediately by Cliff Toney. But he'll pick up about 5 or 6 yards. Steve, what does Mr. Covington have to say?
I'm just going to ask him, Pat. Grover, what are you guys doing defensively to shut down this Eskimo offense?
We want to win the Grey Cup.
What are you doing to shut them down?
Everybody just going out playing 100% and doing their assignments. And just, you know, I've been in the league 6 years, and a lot of the guys, we just want it. And that's all we're doing is just going out and get it.
Okay, Pat.
Thanks, Steve. Second down, about 4 yards to go. And as Leaf said, they're just doing everything very conservatively now. They hit Ron Ingram, a little short out. Mark Jackson makes the stop, but it's a first down. And what it does, it gives them some breathing room, and it also keeps the ball away from the Edmonton offense. And they desperately need it because they trail 26-0.
You know, Frank, I think it was interesting what Grover Covington said. You know, we're not trying to do anything fancy or tricks or anything. We're just going out and playing as hard as we can, and they're having great success.
From the 25-yard line, the handoff inside with Jed Tomey leading the blocking and Dan Huckluck carrying the football. The Ticats pick up about 5.5 yards.
You know, the Eskimos look like they're really whipped. They're just accepting those blocks. They're really taking off of the football and offensive line of the Ticats, and it's a very demoralized Western champion football club right now.
And again, going deep for Stapler. He makes the catch at the 41-yard line. Had all kinds of time to throw the football. Kerrigan puts it right where Steve Stapler can get it, and nobody else can. And they end up with a 38-yard game.
Well, it doesn't matter who they put on the corner. That time it was Ronnie Howard, and they just go right by him.
I think they should just keep throwing deep. Kerrigan's had problems throwing the ball short, but when he goes deep to Stapler, he's right on the money.
Has it down to the Eskimo 42 with 58 seconds left to play in the half. Huckluck, the ball carrier, runs into Danny Bass, the middle linebacker, at about the 39-yard line. That'll be a pickup of 3.
Well, isn't it funny how things changed? I'm sure at the beginning of this drive, Mike Kerrigan saying to himself, I just want to maybe get 2 first downs and at least get it out of deep in our own territory. Now, one big play, and he's thinking field goal at least.
Clock is running. We're down to 40 seconds left to play in the half. That crossing pattern goes to Rocky DiPietro. He does not. They rule that he was wrapped up at the 33-yard line. Mark Jackson makes the tackle. The ball did come loose, but it came loose after the officials had ruled that he had been stopped.
Excellent throw by Kerrigan. And it's going to be short of a first down, so I think we're going to see young Paul Osbaldiston one more time trying to put this thing to 29-0.
Osbaldiston has been good on 4 of his 4 field goal attempts. Miles Gurrell, who was selected the best offensive lineman in Eastern Canada this season, is the injured ball player.
Oh, what a turnaround year for Miles, too. Last year he was released by the Montreal Concords. They said he just wasn't good enough anymore. Al Bruno resurrected him, brought him back, and now he's up for a Shenley.
You know what? And he's a very pleasant giant of a man.
He's a great guy, and been around the league for 9 years, University of Ottawa.
6'8", 285 pounds.
He's more than 285. He's over 300. I saw him in a nice suit the other night. I said, they're going to be charging you double for those suits. That's a lot of material.
Well, Miles and that offensive line have certainly done their job. Kerrigan has not been sacked all day. Matt Denigan on the other side of the fence has been drilled 4 times.
And even outside of that, all the pressure in his face, you know.
Yep, it's been a tough afternoon. Osbaldiston trying 5 for 5 is good. 29-0. Hamilton, 9 seconds left to play in the first half.
You know, if you'll recall, last year Lou Pasaglia kicked 5 field goals in the 1985 Grey Cup. It took him the whole game. Paul's done it in a half of football.
Edmonton Eskimos total offense in the first half, 25 yards.
Just amazing. Really, truly amazing. But you got to credit that Ticat defense. They just came after him, as I said, right from the opening gun.
Well, Pat, we've only got 9 seconds left. Once again, I'd like to thank you for just a great year you and I have had together. And Riggs, always a pleasure to come and work with you, too.
It certainly is. And there are 2 other people that I want to thank, Riggs. Our 2 pals, Bobby Layden, who handles the stats for us, and our old pal, Alex Ponton, who does the spotting. Both great helps to everybody on the crew, and we certainly appreciate it and thank them. It's hard to believe that another football season has come to a wind down.
Certainly is, and we certainly enjoyed bringing you this first half. Chuck Ely, Ron Lancaster, Don Whitman will be bringing you the final 30 minutes. And boy, the Eskimos are going to have to do something awfully quick just to make this entertaining for the next 30 minutes.
Well, they need something good to happen to them. I don't know if that's going to occur, but they just have not had any luck today at all.
Tom Richards with the kickoff return. Gets it up over the 40 to about the 43-yard line. And, of course, you know, tempers are going to be frayed, particularly with the way the score is right now. Kurt Chapman was kind of talking it up with number 39, and that is Ed Gadavekas. Yes, Al, go ahead.
This is a look at the Eskimo bench. They realize they're in tough now, but this team was down a lot of points in Ottawa one time. And you can see James Zachary talking it up, trying to get more life into this football team. But boy, as you said, Frank and Pat, they got a long road to hoe.
Need a big, big play right now. And what happens? Exactly what the story of the first half was. It's just an unbelievable display by the Hamilton Ticat defense. That time, David Sobe. Covington was there, too. Also in the backfield was Mitchell Price. Hats off to the Hamilton Tiger Cats for a terrific display of defensive football. They lead it 29-0 at the half. This is Grey Cup 86 from BC Place in Vancouver.
Here at BC Place, the Hamilton defense has just been outstanding, forcing 7 turnovers. They recorded 5 quarterback sacks and even scored a touchdown on the blocked punt. Standing by with their highlights and analysis, Frank Rigney and Ron Lancaster. Gentlemen.
Well, certainly there are an awful lot of surprises in that first half, Ron. The score is a shocker. But what was the most impressive thing you thought the Ticats did in the first 30 minutes?
Just swarmed all over him, beat him up, took the ball away, and put it in the end zone. That's all there was to it.
Well, I tell you, we're gonna take a look at a few highlights, and we've got the first play of this football game that the Edmonton Eskimos had the ball on offense. It started the whole landslide, I guess you'd have to call it. Grover Covington got in on Matt Dunnigan and caused the first turnover of the football game.
Well, that's been the story of the whole first half. Anytime a quarterback for Edmonton's tried to throw, there's been black jerseys in his face. And when they get the ball, it's been a Steve Stapler show. What a throw. The pump by Mike Kerrigan, and he puts it on the money. You talk about a game of inches. Greg Harding was beat. He gets back, almost knocks it down, concentration, touchdown, and that's the way this whole first half has gone.
Well, that made it, of course, 7-0 in the opening moments of the football game, and then Tom Dixon has a kick blocked shortly thereafter.
Well, there's been so many mistakes and turnovers by Edmonton, you can't expect them to be in a ball game. 1 block punt a year is too many, especially in a championship game.
Steve Stapler, and you're absolutely right, Ron, it has been the Steve Stapler show as far as the receiver is concerned. He's had 4 receptions in the first half of this football game for 122 yards.
Watch the catch here. This is pretty good coverage. This is just great concentration by Stapler. The ball's coming over that other shoulder. Greg Harding again with him, but Steve Stapler comes down with it, and that's what a good receiver will do.
Well, that made it 17-0 at the end of the first quarter, and it just looked like, Ron, that he was playing with a different football. Nobody else could catch it. But look at this.
It was like glue. If it was in his area, it was in his hands, and that's, well, I'll tell you, that's been the whole first half, the Stapler show and the Hamilton defense.
Well, Paul Osbaldiston, I think, should deserve a little bit of credit, too. He's got 5 field goals in the first half of this football game. But believe it or not, the Ticats were 12-point underdogs. They lead the Edmonton Eskimos 29-0.
Well, that's a little bit of a surprise, but if you watched the football game, then you know exactly why it's 29-0. Hamilton's done it all.
Can Edmonton come back?
They're not going to win it. Not now.
Hi, everybody. Well, one hesitates to say that a game is over because we all remember what happened last week at CNE Stadium in Toronto when the Ticats trailed by 26 points. But I think Chuck Ely and Ron Lancaster that the Hamilton Tiger Cats are going to win their first Grey Cup since you two played in the game in 1972.
Well, it looks that way right now. They had not have to come out here and try to play conservative, just play the type of game they played the first half, be aggressive, and they'll have a good chance of winning this game for sure.
Well, defense is what's done it for them, and that's what's got them this big lead, and I just really can't see this Ticat defense letting up. They are on a roll, and everything's going their way.
Al Bruno, who played on a Grey Cup winner in 1952 and coached in a Grey Cup game in 1966. He was on the losing end as an assistant with the Ottawa Roughriders out here in Vancouver when they lost to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and Ron Lancaster was the quarterback that day. In 1972, of course, it was Chuck Ely defeating Ron Lancaster in that 13-10 Grey Cup win at Ivor Wynne Stadium.
Well, that was a great win for me as a quarterback in the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and they haven't had a win since then, but it looks like a good opportunity for them this afternoon.
Well, they started out strong defensively. That's been their strength, especially early in the year till Mike Kerrigan got in there and got that offense rolling. But that defense today, as you can see by that statistic of -1 yards total offense, that's not going to win you very many football games.
When was the last time, regular season, preseason, or postseason, you saw a team play a half of football and be in the minus category statistically?
Well, not very long, because especially a team like Edmonton, you know you have such a high-powered type of offense to be in that type of situation.
29-0, the halftime score. 5 sacks have been yielded by the Edmonton Eskimos, and that has been the big problem. It started on the very first offensive series with Grover Covington getting to Matt Dunnigan. And now Paul Osbaldiston, who is 1 field goal away from equaling a Grey Cup record, will kick it off. What a year it's been for this young man, coming out of the Richmond Raiders junior team, drafted by the BC Lions. He had a job when Lou Pasaglia was injured in preseason. When Pasaglia returned, he went to Winnipeg, where they needed a place kicker with Trevor Kennard hurt, and then he found a job with the Hamilton Tiger Cats when Bernie Ruoff went down. As someone quipped the other day, he should get the Humanitarian Award for 1986. The kickoff to start the second half. Tom Richards on the return. Tom Richards reverses his field. An excellent move by the young product of the University of Alberta as he caught them a little by surprise and cut it to the right side. Al McCann has a report from the Edmonton bench.
Well, Don, it looks like the Eskimos have lost safety Phil Jones. Dr. Gordon Camera is with me. Gordon, what is the problem with Phil?
Well, when Phil intercepted the pass down on the other end, he was cutting back and he felt a sudden pop. And I'm afraid he's ruptured his lateral hamstring in his right leg. We've tried everything. We strapped it and put a TENS unit on, but he's just tried to run now, and he's not able to continue.
Thanks, Gordon.
Thank you.
Dunnigan's pass incomplete. Howard Fields was there to knock it down.
Well, good play by Howard Fields in that situation. You want to not go conservative now with your defense. Just be as aggressive as you were in the first half so they don't make any mistakes.
That's the first pass that the Edmonton Eskimos have thrown into the middle of the field, downfield. But Howard Fields was there to make the hit just as that ball arrived, and you won't hold too many of those.
2nd and 10. The ball is at the 48. 29-0, the halftime score. The Ticats leading the Eskimos. Dunnigan under pressure again. That Ticat defense is tenacious. They started the game that way, and they continue in the second half.
Well, they only came with a 4-man rush, but the big thing about that 4-man rush, when you have a 29-0 lead, why worry about it? Let him have him run the football for a little while. It's not going to hurt you. He needs to get points, and that's big yardage, and that's not going to get it for you. Zambiazzi has made some great hits. He's all over the field.
Ezerin's also combining to bring down the Edmonton quarterback, and that forces Tom Dixon for another 3rd down kick, standing at his own 34-yard line. Wayne Lee and Paul Bennett are back. Paul Bennett picks it up at the 27-yard line, and he's decked as he crossed the 30 to the 31. Steve Armitage is standing by with a report from the Hamilton bench.
Don, a few moments ago, I talked to Walter Bender. He does not think he will see action in the second half. He injured his left knee in the first half. He says the only way I'm going to go in is if it's an emergency.
Well, Walter Bender had such a big game in that Eastern final last week. He ran with the ball most effectively against the Toronto Argonauts. But, of course, the big story in that game was this man, number 2, the quarterback, Mike Kerrigan. Kerrigan completes the pass to Dan Hucklack. He puts his head down, and he should have a first down. He was forced out by Ron Howard.
One of the things you want to watch for is that you, as a quarterback, Mike Kerrigan does not get conservative. Still be aggressive. Try to pick up 5, 6, 7, 8 yards on the first down so that you'll be able to make a good call on that second down and put the defense in a tough spot.
Kerrigan, who was in Montreal last year and watched the Grey Cup game as the Ticats lost to the British Columbia Lions, with the starting assignment in this 1986 game. He got the starting assignment as a quarterback on the 7th of August against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. In that game, he played well, completed about 60% of his passes, but that was the night that Tom Clements picked to be all-world in a 36-30 win. I think Clements completed about 76% that evening.
That's as well as I've ever seen a quarterback play on that particular night, but it served notice for the Hamilton Tiger Cats that Mike Kerrigan could throw the football against a pretty good defense.
2nd and 6. Kerrigan getting time and rolling out of there, fakes the throw, and will be close to the first down. Tom Tuine made the stop. He looked downfield, faked the throw to Ingram, saw that he was pretty well covered by Ron Howard, and decided to run with the ball. Well, he's not noted for his running ability.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Mike Kerrigan. He is a drop-back type of passer. But that time, Edmonton was in a man-to-man defense, and everybody took off, either went with the backs or the receivers, and he broke the containment and got to the outside. There was nobody there, so he was going to try to pick up the first down.
3rd and less than a yard, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats will leave the offensive unit out there. I thought that Ken Hobart might come in on this short yardage situation. That's what they did last week against Toronto.
Well, it gives him that added threat that he may fake the ball and run with it, and he's so strong going straight ahead, but with about 2 inches needed for this first down, I'm pretty sure we're going to see Mike Kerrigan go get it.
12-12 the time left in the 3rd quarter. 29-0 the score. The Ticats leading, and Mike Kerrigan will have the first down, but there's also a penalty flag on the far side of the field. Will it be offside or illegal procedure?
I think they're going to call no end on the line of scrimmage. That's what I think they're going to call, which would be procedure, but we'll have to wait and see.
Referee John Ireland and the other members of the officiating staff conferring on this call. In case you're wondering about some of the lopsided scores in Grey Cup history, the most points by any team in a game.
No infractions. First down.
Queen's University against Regina scored 54 way back in 1923. In 1956, 50 by Edmonton against Montreal. And then in 1980, the Edmonton Eskimos racked up 48 points in that 48-10 triumph over these same Hamilton Tiger Cats. The last time the two teams met in a Grey Cup game. 1st and 10 from the 54. Good hole for Hucklack, and he has another first down.
This is what I've been looking for, Don, is somebody to start to be able to run the football. And when it's Hamilton with a 29-0 lead, if they can get that ground attack going, it's all over for Edmonton. The Eskimos have got to continually make Mike Kerrigan throw the football. That's how they're going to get turnovers.
And they're doing it with 2 backs that are not usually the ones that are going to run. Bender is usually the guy that's going to run the ball. Now they've got Hucklack and Tommy in there running the ball. So they know, as far as their offense, they want to try to use up as much time on that clock going down the field.
Jeff Volpe is the injured player, and those defensive backs have taken a pounding this afternoon. With the score, Hamilton 29 and Edmonton 0. Grey Cup 86. We'll be back in just a moment.
Jeff Volpe, the rookie out of the University of Guelph, being treated at that Edmonton Eskimo bench. And that means that Greg Harding comes back into the ball game for the Edmonton Eskimos in that secondary. It's a first down situation for Hamilton at the Edmonton 44-yard line. I'm amazed at the job that offensive line of Hamilton's has done. They've been somewhat maligned over the past couple of years.
Well, we talked in the opening that the team that protected that quarterback the best was going to win, and Mike Kerrigan has got the protection, and on the other side, they've been all over the Edmonton Eskimos, but that offensive line has done a super job.
Kerrigan hasn't had a hand laid on him today, and he's throwing deep for Ingram. Touchdown!
Just an excellent pass by Kerrigan. When you get into those situations and you've been running the ball a lot, and then all of a sudden you just send your man down on a fly pattern, and he sent Ron Ingram, and he just outruns Howard down the field and is able to pick the pass for the touchdown. It's a good play, good call by Kerrigan, because you start getting that defense a little bit sitting back on their heels, trying to come up and make the big play.
The point after attempt by Paul Osbaldiston out of the hold of Tom Porras, and it is good. So with the score, Hamilton 36, Edmonton nothing. Grey Cup 86. We'll be back in just a moment.
Broadcast number 186.
36-0 is the score. Ron Ingram on the receiving end of a 44-yard touchdown pass. You know, that young man thought his season was ended back in August at Olympic Stadium in Montreal when he broke a finger. It was a very serious break. The bone came right through, and he didn't think he'd be back in the lineup this season. But here he is, emerging as a star in the win over Toronto last Sunday and scoring a touchdown this afternoon. Tom Richards on the kickoff return. And Richards works his way out to the 49-yard line, stopped there by Gadavekas. Al McCann down on the sidelines.
Don, it's becoming a total disaster for the Eskimos. The scoreboard 37-0. We had Volpe go down. Now linebacker Frank Balkovec has injured his left knee, and his status is very questionable. The Eskimos are very quickly running out of defensive people to play in this game.
And those hurts always seem to mount when you're on the losing end of a 36-0 scoreboard.
Sure, they sure do. I think it's just an aggressive style of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. That's all this game's been.
Donegan over the middle, and the pass is complete to Skinner. He is stopped by Ben Zambiazzi.
Well, you know, Don, earlier in the week, people were picking a big score by Edmonton to win and beat the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But one of the things we talked about is the experience of the Hamilton team being in the Grey Cup for the third time, dealing with all the things that happened during the week, and the difference with Edmonton having new people into a Grey Cup situation like that.
Good point, Chuck. 27 of the Ticat players have participated in previous Grey Cup games. This is Brian Kelly. There's also a penalty flag on the play. I wouldn't be surprised if Jim Rockford is going to be penalized for grabbing a face mask.
Yeah, inadvertently, too. I mean, he just come up to make the tackle, and Brian slipped underneath it, and that hand just come up and caught it, but the referee's right on top of it and called it.
Face mask. No.
Well, you see the out pattern now. Here it comes. Just trying to slide underneath Rockford, and a hand comes up and hits it. No intent made, but that's the way it goes. Referee's right on top of it.
Well, Brian Kelly remembers that 1980 Grey Cup game when he scored a touchdown in that 48-10 triumph. And he provides the Edmonton Eskimos with another first down, and with the penalty, that takes the ball down to the 16-yard line. 1st and 10, the deepest penetration of the afternoon for that Edmonton Eskimo offense. Donegan will run this one. And he's about a yard short, I believe, of first down, tackled by Frank Robinson.
Well, you know, talking to the defensive ends, one of the things they talk about is trying to contain Matt Dunnigan. And what that does, if you charge too wide on a guy like Matt Dunnigan, he runs in between the defensive end and the tackle. that gives him a wide area to charge through, and you have that whole field to play with as far as the quarterback running up the field. What you like to do is to force him to the sideline or to the outside, and then have your defense react on it.
The Eskimos send out the short yardage offense. They're 2nd and 1. The ball between the 7 and 6 yard lines. Dunnigan will keep. He'll get the first down. He goes over the top, much as he did last week in that Western final against the British Columbia Lions. He took a pretty good jolt on his shoulder and elbow in that game. That elbow is still causing him some problems. He was telling me the other day that it swells up after every game, and he has to ice it down.
Well, he's going to have a long time to rest after this football game, but on this particular time, he's concerned with getting that ball in the end zone. They've got to get that 0 off the scoreboard up there before anything good can start happening. And this, as you said, is the first time that they've been down anywhere close to scoring a touchdown.
1st and goal for the Eskimos. They're at the 5 yard line of the Ticats. 36-0 is the score. Hamilton leading with 8:54 left in this 3rd quarter. Dunnigan to throw. He won't get a chance, and the man there is Mitchell Price to make the tackle.
The one thing about that Hamilton Tiger Cat defense, they have not gone the conservative route. They're coming on with a lot of pressure continuously on Matt Dunnigan. And the best way to do that, as Ron pointed out earlier in the telecast, is to put the pressure on him, all the lanes, fill up with 5 people, and keep the heat on him. And that's what they're doing.
Sack number 6 for the Ticats.
Just a bootleg action. Start one way, come back the other, but he can't get outside because of the black jerseys. You see Frank Robinson way outside. He wasn't in on the play, but you can't go anywhere with him there.
2nd and goal, and again he was forced to throw. He gets it away to Kelly. They ruled that he was out of bounds, but he was forced to throw. He had a man in his face, and he had to get it away quickly.
Didn't surprise me either. Number 31, Ben Zambiazzi, came right up the middle, and we know what he'll do to quarterbacks, but watch the catch. That's an excellent catch, even though he's covered about as well as you can cover him, but he couldn't get those feet down in bounds.
An excellent call by the officials on the sidelines. He came down with that foot on the white line. So it is 3rd and goal. The ball back at the 14 yard line. And at this point, the Eskimos have no alternative but to go for it. Sincar into the ball game in place of Richards. Dunnigan gets away from the initial pressure, but he can't escape the other 2.
Well, they're continually putting that pressure on Dunnigan as Zambiazzi comes on a blitz up the middle. And he puts the pressure and makes the initial grab on him back there, and then the rest of the defense catches up. And that's what they're going to have to do, keep that pressure on him. Hamilton has not gone the conservative route. They're playing tough throughout this game.
It didn't matter which way Dunnigan turned after he escaped Zambiazzi. There's nowhere to go. Frank Robinson is behind him, so if he tries to wheel out of there, he's still going down.
I don't think I've seen Ben Zambiazzi have a better football game in his 10-year CFL career.
The way he's played, I'd have to agree with you.
Dan Hucklack, the ball carrier.
You know, right now, Ron, the enemy of the Edmonton Eskimos is the clock, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats just happen to be in the way because as much time as they used in moving up the field and didn't come up with any points, it's a favor for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And if they can continually move their offense out, Hamilton now, and use up some more time on that clock, it really becomes a problem for Edmonton.
Well, Dale Sanderson is the injured player, but right now let's get a report from that Hamilton bench with Steve Armitage.
Don, I don't think I have ever seen the head coach of the Hamilton Ticats, Al Bruno, as happy as he was on that last exchange. He drove his fist into the air, almost as if to say, I can taste my first Grey Cup as head coach. He is a very, very happy man at this point in the game.
Well, as Al paces back and forth on that bench, he doesn't show much emotion. On the odd occasion, we've seen a wee bit of a smile cross his countenance. He caught a glimpse of one right there, but the way he paces back and forth, one would think he was trailing by about 15 rather than leading by the 36-0 margin that the Ticats enjoy. And on the other side, the expression on the face of Jackie Parker pretty much tells it all. The player of the quarter century in the Canadian Football League in 1954, 55, 56, leading the Edmonton Eskimos to Grey Cup triumphs. He was on the losing end in 1960. You remember that game, Ron Lancaster?
Well, I sure do. My first one was his last one, and I just felt privileged to see him play because I'd heard so much about him, and he was every bit they told me he was.
2nd and 5. Kerrigan throwing deep, and he makes the catch. Ingram at the 48 of the Edmonton Eskimos, a 32-yard gain.
Well, right now, the Edmonton team is coming on with the blitz. They've got to come up with some big plays. And Ron Ingram's out there knowing that they're going to be in man-to-man coverage a great deal of the time, and he just beats the defensive back to the inside. And when you get that position, just put yourself between the defensive back and the ball and come up with the catch, and that's what Ron did.
Well, as you say, they come after him. Mike Kerrigan's going to step away from a hit. He's going to catch a hand across the head, but he comes up, throws it a little short. But Mark Jackson just didn't see the football. Ingram did and come back and got it.
6:10 is the time remaining in the third quarter. Kerrigan won't get a chance to throw. The ball is loose. Who's got it? I think the Ticats have recovered. The first time that Stuart Hill has been able to get loose from his defensive end spot, and he dropped Mike Kerrigan.
Well, these are the type that hurt. He doesn't see him coming. Kerrigan couldn't get rid of the ball. Stuart Hill was unblocked. And when you come from the blind side, the quarterback has no chance to see it. Very fortunate to get the ball back.
Ball is back at the 54-yard line. 2nd and 15 for the Ticats. Volpe was there. Balkovec was there to bring down Dan Hucklack after he went high for that throw from Mike Kerrigan. But that forces the Hamilton Tiger Cats into a punting situation.
The impressive thing right now about Kerrigan is he has not gone into a shell and become conservative. He is still trying to come up with the big plays, throwing the ball up the field. There's a tendency when you get that far ahead, run the ball a couple of times and then punt. But he's going for it all.
Well, many thought that the Edmonton Eskimos would have the edge in the punting category. Well, you don't have to punt. There's not going to be much of an edge. But this one is blocked by Frank Balkovec. Larry Ruck may have also been there, and the Edmonton Eskimos recover down at the 36-yard line. So the Eskimos will get a big turnover with a first down at the 36. Osbaldiston's punting attempt was blocked.
Well, you'd see this block on the punt. They got to come up with some big plays, and one way to do that is on the punt. Try to get in there and come up with a big block as they did there and get the turnover. Try to take it in the end zone.
Larry Ruck was the man who blocked it. So with the score, Hamilton 36 and Edmonton nothing. Grey Cup 86. We'll be back in just a moment.
Well, there's Larry Ruck, number 47, who got that fumble recovery. He took over from Frank Balkovec. His game is over. Frank is out for the rest of the game, meaning his season is over, and the Eskimos are far behind.
Pass incomplete. It was intended for Allen. Knocked down by Lance Shields. It will be 2nd and 10. There's a penalty flag down inside the 20-yard line.
Forward pass interference. Hamilton, number 16. First down.
Howard Fields is charged with interference, providing the Eskimos with a first down. They are at the 16-yard line. That last touchdown, by the way, for the Ticats gave them 502 Grey Cup points. The first team to surpass the 500 mark in Grey Cup history. Dunnigan dumps it off. Incomplete. He was looking for Johnston. 2nd and 10 for the Eskimos.
Well, you know, Don, I was at a breakfast meeting with Matt Dunnigan on Thursday, and we were sitting around at the table, and what we were talking about was the problem he was having with his concentration level with all the things that were going on. This is his first Grey Cup, and there's a lot of things that go on during that week that take you away from your game plan as far as your concentration. And that showed up early in the first half of this game.
2nd and 10. Pass is complete to Allen. He takes it out of bounds for a first down in front of Lance Shields.
What they've got to do is just what he did there. Throw possession-type passes. Don't try to get it all back at once. Move the ball methodically down the field and put it in the end zone. If you start trying to throw those deep ones, you're going to get yourself in trouble. They picked up the blitz that time and gave him some time to work one-on-one.
A gain of 12 for Allen, and that is a 1st and goal now from the 3.
Well, this time Zambiasi has come up the middle, and he's picked up on the block, and that's what they've got to have to give Dunnigan a little more time to find his receivers.
1st and goal, Edmonton from the 3-yard line of the Ticats. Hand off to Johnston. He struggles and gets to about the 2. The last time they were down here, they had a 1st and goal from the 5, and they failed to score as they were driven back. That time, Johnson really had a struggle to pick up 1 yard.
Well, that Hamilton Tiger Cat defense hasn't given up a touchdown yet today, and right now they love nothing better than to turn them back here and say there's no way you're getting into that end zone. So they've got to put it on the ground and keep driving straight at them and defeat the strength, and that's that defensive front four.
At this stage of the ball game, I think that Ticat defensive unit is thinking shutout.
Sure they are. They got to be.
2nd and goal. Dunnigan keeps. Penalty flags fly. No indication from the officials that Dunnigan got into the end zone, and it appears as though the penalty call is against Edmonton.
Procedure. Edmonton number 59.
Leo Blanchard. Didn't like that one. That takes the ball back to the 6-yard line.
Well, they're continually using up time on that clock, and that's a plus for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They're doing everything they can to hold them from getting into that end zone. As Ronnie just pointed out, it's a matter of pride up there, and they want to keep it that way.
3:04 is the time remaining in this 3rd quarter. It was 29-0 at the half. Ticats with a 44-yard touchdown strike from Mike Kerrigan to Ron Ingram early in the 3rd quarter. Damon Allen now in at quarterback. Second down play, penalty flags in the end zone. Allen is going to run it. He should get in. He does. No indication yet as to the penalty.
There's no infraction on the play. Touchdown.
Well, referee John Ireland explains it, so the touchdown does stand.
Well, it's play action. Get him outside. Watch number 31, Ben Zambiasi. Now, he's going to come as soon as Allen looks like he's going to cross that line of scrimmage. He comes a long way to make the hit, but Allen got that momentum forward and into the end zone, so that's a big plus for them.
Well, you take Ben Zambiasi is sitting there reading, and as a linebacker, he was just sitting there watching the backs, and when he saw Damon Allen break to the outside, he just reacted to it, just got there a little bit too late.
Damon Allen took a pretty good shot right at the goal line from Lance Shields. This is the point after by Tom Dixon, and the Edmonton Eskimos score their first touchdown of this 1986 Grey Cup game, but they've got a long way to go with only 17 minutes and 39 seconds remaining. 36-7 is the score in favor of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
And well deserved. 36 points. They had controlled everything, and it took 2 tries. They got down inside the 5 the first time and was shoved back. This time it took them a while to get in there again. So they're making them earn everything. They're not giving them nothing, and I know there's no one more disappointed than the Hamilton Tiger Cat defense because they didn't want them in there at all.
John Ireland explaining to Al Bruno what happened down on that goal line.
Coach Bruno! No, you weren't.
Take it easy, Al. You're leading 36-7. No point now in taking an unnecessary penalty.
When you're talking about the pride of the defense, Al Bruno still doesn't want to give up anything right now, and he's making a point of that to the official.
Ed Schmitz, the assistant coach, trying to calm the head man down at that Hamilton Ticat bench. Champion and Fields are back for this kickoff by Tom Dixon. Fields will take it at the 15-yard line. And Fields goes down at the 39. 2:32 is the time left in the third quarter. 36-7. The Hamilton Tiger Cats surprising a lot of football people, I'm sure, all across the country and wherever you're looking in this afternoon. We hope you're enjoying the action from the stadium at BC Place. It's 74th edition of the Grey Cup game. I think those fellas are enjoying the game, what they can remember of it. Kerrigan is throwing deep down the sidelines for Steve Stapler. One of those passes where he throws it up there to let the wide out run under it.
One of the things Mike Kerrigan could point out is when he comes up to the line of scrimmage, he can take a look at those defensive backs. If they're straight across the board within 5 yards of the immediate receivers on the line of scrimmage, he's reading man pretty well, knowing that they're going to be in a coverage with make calls for a blitz, and he can throw the ball deep to somebody. And Edmonton will be doing a lot of blitzing the rest of the game to try to put pressure on Kerrigan and come up with the big plays.
2 interceptions and 2 touchdowns this afternoon for Mike Kerrigan. 2nd and 10. Sideline pattern intended for Ingram, incomplete. He was being covered by Mark Jackson, and that forces the Ticats to again send out their punting unit. And the last time that Paul Osbaldiston dropped back to punt, only his 4th punting effort of the afternoon, it was blocked.
And I think they'll come after it again. They need the big plays. They can't wait on the football to come downfield, and Steve Stapler is going to kick.
Well, Osbaldiston has been very slow in getting that kick away, so they're going to send Stapler out there. He kicks it left-footed. He hangs it high. It's taken by Steve Howlett, and there's nowhere to go as he had a whole group of Ticat people on that punt coverage team downfield waiting for him. That's the advantage you get when you kick it high, as Stapler did.
Especially if you kick it around the 40-yard mark. That ball will get up and hang up there somewhere around 4.5, 5 seconds. You'll get good coverage on it, and they got excellent coverage. They aren't interested in a long punt. They just wanted a safe one.
That kick only traveled 33 yards. 2 yards on the return by Howlett. 1:28 remaining. 1st and 10 from the 37-yard line. Dunnigan back in at quarterback. The draw play with Milson Jones. And Milson Jones has a gain of about 6 before being stopped by the middle linebacker, Ben Zambiazzi.
Well, that draw play for Edmonton has been a good play for them all year long with Chris Skinner and Milson Jones running that. But unless you get that sprint out game going with Matt Dunnigan, you don't use it that much. And they haven't been able to get anything going with Dunnigan running outside and using his sprint out abilities.
2nd and 4 from the 44. Good hole as that opened up quickly for Chris Johnston, and he is stopped by Paul. A gain of 10. 1st and 10 for the Eskimos.
I think the Eskimos are going to be able to run the football a little bit now. The Ticat linebackers are probably sitting a little bit deeper, more concerned with big plays through the air, so that they're going to allow them to run the football a little bit, but they'll shut them down when it's time.
Dunnigan dumps it off. Punishing hit by Leo Ezerins after Milson Jones made the catch.
As Ronnie pointed out, as Leo dropped back, he took a deep drop, and he was just waiting and reading, and by the time the ball got to Milson Jones, he was there with the big hit. So they're going to sit back and just let them throw the ball in front of them and try to let Edmonton use up that clock.
This should be the final play of the third quarter. It's 2nd and 5 for the Eskimos. They trail 36-7. Milson Jones makes the catch. Milson Jones might score. Caught by Rockford and Lance Shields. And that's the end
of the third quarter, a 45-yard gain for Milson Jones. The score is Hamilton 36, Edmonton 7. Grey Cup 86 will return with the fourth quarter in a moment.
Here's to the everyday things that end up being everything. Here's to all things simple with casual clothing and footwear from Marks.
To start the fourth quarter, it's first and goal for the Eskimos from the 5. The give is to Chris Johnstone, and he fights to the 2-yard line.
Well, the last time they brought him down to this situation was a pass to Milson Jones. As Dunnigan reads hot, he throws it right in there, and a great catch by Milson Jones. He just wasn't able to take it all the way to the end zone.
Jim Rockford showed some pretty good speed to track him down coming from his cornerback position. Second and goal. The ball is on the 3-yard line. Second man through. Milson Jones is stopped at the 1. Linebacker Leo Ezerins was there to make the tackle. It will be third and goal. And Jackie Parker sends out the short yardage unit.
I think he's going to put big guys in there and go after it. I think they crossed them up a little bit. I think they were expecting Dunnigan to fake that and roll out with it. But, you know, both times they've been down there and tried to pass on second down, they've been sacked. This time they decided to go straight at him.
Third and goal from the 1. Dunnigan keeps, penalty flags fly. He did not get in. Let's wait for the penalty call. It appears as though it's going against the Eskimos.
Procedure, Edmonton number 59. Declined. First down.
That's good defense by the Ticats, stopping them on 3 shots from the 5-yard line.
Well, I was in the dressing room just before the game started, and Walker and those guys were so intense in wanting to play really well this game to come up with a victory in the Grey Cup, and that's what they're doing right now. You get down there in that situation on the goal line, you just play it tough, and they're playing it tough.
So with the score, Hamilton 36 and Edmonton 7, Grey Cup 86 will be back in just a moment. That stat, second from the bottom on the right-hand side of your screen, is pretty much the story of Grey Cup 86. The turnovers, 8 by the Edmonton Eskimos, and with their failure to convert that third down gamble, that will be turnover number 9. Bit of an imposition here on Mike Kerrigan, operating from the 1-yard line, but he's in the comfortable position of being ahead by 29 points.
I think those 8 turnovers are a result of what we just saw on that 3rd and 1. That Hamilton defense is just all over them. And we've said this all year, when you can't get in from 1 yard out, you're not going to win the football game. So they're down there 3 times, score once. The Hamilton defense shut them down.
Second down play. And Kerrigan is not going to put it in the air. He stays on the ground, and that will bring out the punting unit. A crowd of 59,621 taking in this 74th edition of the Grey Cup here at BC Place Stadium, and that is a record for this facility.
You know, the really unfortunate thing for the Edmonton Eskimos is when they do move it down there, they don't score. They've used up a lot of time on the clock. You know, there's 2 opportunities to possibly come up with touchdowns that are gone that you can't recover.
12:46 remaining in this fourth quarter as Steve Stapler stands in the end zone for this third down kick, his second punt of the game after replacing Paul Osbaldiston.
Movement at the line of scrimmage, but there are no flags, and again a high kick by the left-footed Stapler. Penalty flag as Richards takes it. There will be a no yards call, and Richards works his way inside the 20-yard line. No doubt that a couple of players had encroached upon that 5-yard area. A 35-yard kick by Stapler, a 19-yard return.
No yard. Hamilton, number 31. Penalty is declined. First down.
Ben Zambiazzi was just a little over anxious to make the tackle on that third down punt, and it will be a 1st and 10 situation from inside the 20-yard line. They're the winners of the PWA contest, the Pacific Western Airlines winner, and 100 of his friends making the trip to Grey Cup 86. I'd have a tough time finding that many people to come with me if I won that contest. Grover Covington again putting the pressure on Matt Dunnigan and bringing him down for another loss.
Well, we talked in the opening, if you bring 4 men, you've got to get the defensive ends wide. It can buy you time to throw the football, but watch how much time Dunnigan has and can't find anybody open, and that you're going to run out sooner or later. And coming from the outside, Grover Covington forces him to duck. Mike Walker finishes it.
9 turnovers, 8 sacks. You're not going to win many football games when you have those type of statistics. He almost got trapped again, trying to find a receiver. He can't spot a man in the clear. Dunnigan running all over the field. Mitchell Price didn't realize he had the football. Finally, he throws deep into the end zone. Incomplete. He was looking for Allen, who was being covered by Lance Shields. I think some of those big defensive linemen were plumb tuckered out.
Well, looking down on the field right now, they're all on their knees. They're having a hard time breathing. He must have ran 150 yards, and you got to give a lot of credit to the defensive backs to just stay back there. He'll come back again. Wait for him. Don't chase him.
Watch Mitchell Price when Dunnigan comes back. He didn't realize that Dunnigan still had the ball, or maybe he just didn't want to bother chasing him anymore.
And after that, he throws it incomplete.
The injured player is David Sauve, and of course you have to be concerned anytime this young man goes down. He has missed a year and a half because of an injury that threatened to end his career and possibly cause him some great hardship for the rest of his life. But he came back for the playoff game last week and was looking forward to this Grey Cup game. And apparently he is going to be all right. Well, with the score, Hamilton 36 and Edmonton 7, Grey Cup 86. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, David Sauve has gone off to that Hamilton bench, but apparently he is okay. And we're informed that he does have a problem with asthma, and that caused him some difficulties out there. He was one of those involved in chasing around Matt Dunnigan. So Mark Napierkowski goes into the ball game, replacing Sauve at that defensive end spot. Dunnigan fumbles the football. Who's got it? Hamilton recovers.
It really didn't matter. It was 3rd down and about 18, so when he fumbled the football, it was going over to those Ticats anyway. But again, it shows you that they cannot handle that defensive rush of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They're all over them.
Well, they thought they'd come back into the game with Damon Allen, and he got the same type of treatment as Matt Dunnigan's been getting. A lot of pressure from that defensive line, and it caused a fumble.
What a game Grover Covington has had. He started it all, and that is the 10th turnover of the ball game. And Ken Hobart is now in at quarterback for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and he decides to go straight up the middle and picks up about 4 yards before being stopped by Tom Tuinei.
Well, good safe play by Ken Hobart. He likes to run that ball. And this time he came out in a situation where he was trying to run a quarterback draw. Just drop back 3 or 4 steps, try to let those linebackers drop off, but except now those linebackers are coming. So he's got to beat them one-on-one at the line of scrimmage.
Ken Hobart, who was the star of the Ticats' success a year ago, losing his starting job to Kerrigan, now coming on in relief late in the football game with a Hamilton win all but assured, throwing the ball to Tony Champion, tackled by Cliff Toney. That will be close to a first down, close enough for a measurement. Hobart was saying he's looking forward to training camp next year, where he can battle for that starting quarterbacking job with Mike Kerrigan.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, when you get 2 quarterbacks, especially I know with Allen and Dunning in Edmonton, and you've got Kerrigan and Hobart and Hamilton, everybody wants to be the starter. It makes for great competition. That can do nothing but help your football club.
Definitely, Ron. You're so right there, because I think a lot of people assume that there's hostilities when one guy starts and the other guy doesn't. But the thing is, everybody wants to try to win and do the best thing they can. Now, the competition is good for both guys.
Third down gamble for the Ticats. Hobart will keep. There wasn't a great deal of room, but from up here it looked as though he may have been close enough to that 35-yard line for a first down. 9:38 is the time remaining. 36-7 the score. The Ticats leading the Eskimos.
Excuse me, Don, but I think you can watch now a little bit as Ken Hobart gets his drives going and he can keep things going. For him to roll out to the outside and just buy time. If the receiver's open, he'll throw it. If not, he'll have the ability to run with it and to keep that clock moving.
Well, Hobart lives in Idaho, and he was telling me that had he been the starting quarterback, there would have been a large contingent of family and friends making the trek up here to watch him play. First and 10. Jed Tommy takes the ball across the 35, and he's driven back by Stuart Hill. Right now, the Hamilton Tiger Cats quite content to keep that ball on the ground, keep that clock running, ever closer to a Grey Cup triumph.
Al Bruno just looking down there, pacing back and forth as he always does. He just keeps looking up at that clock. He just wishes he'd just keep running all day. No timeouts, no nothing.
But a lot of people might forget that at one point this season, the Hamilton Tiger Cats were 1-5. Hobart throwing deep for Ron Ingram, incomplete. Mark Jackson was defending against Ingram, who has scored the only Hamilton touchdown of this second half. A 44-yard strike from Mike Kerrigan early in the third quarter.
Well, you know, sometimes you come up to the line of scrimmage, it becomes a guessing game what kind of defense they're going to be in. Right now, Ken Hobart and Hamilton Tiger Cats know that Edmonton's going to be coming with the blitz, and so they're using pass patterns that they can run against man-to-man coverage.
Tom Richards and Steve Howlett are back for the third down kick by Steve Stapler. He stands at his own 21-yard line. An end-over-end kick that is taken by Howlett at the 37-yard line. Nowhere to go. Good coverage once again by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. 8:14 is the time left in the ball game with the score. Hamilton 36 and Edmonton 7. Grey Cup 86. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, I don't think the Ticats will be selling any, but they might be consuming a Magnum or two in their dressing room at the conclusion of this ball game.
Well, it's been a well-earned one also. I mean, they have played today. I think it was commented on early in the football game that they came out in a very business-like fashion. There was no jumping around. They knew the job they had to do, and they've done it.
And in the second half, 4 times the Eskimos have been inside Hamilton's 10-yard line, and they've come away with just 1 touchdown. That speaks well for that Hamilton Tiger Cat defensive squad. Dunnigan throwing deep off the fingertips of Gary Allen. Or Doug Allen, excuse me.
The thing I've noticed today, they've had very few receivers running free anywhere. Anytime our Edmonton receiver is downfield, there's a black jersey running side by side. In fact, it looks again like Lance Shields got just as good an opportunity to catch this ball as Allen did. But they've been everywhere they've had to be.
Bob Layden points out the two inside receivers, House and Sinkar, have yet to make a catch. Rick House gets his first of the ball game for a first down, stopped by Lance Shields. There's been some good-natured ribbing going on all week between House and Paul Bennett. They are brothers-in-law. I think that will continue over the winter months.
Always nice to have the last say. Right now, Paul Bennett's in the driver's seat.
7:17 is the time left. 1st and 10. Dunnigan completes the pass for first down to Tom Richards, or at least very close to it. Let's see where they spot the football. It's going to be about a yard short.
Well, the Hamilton Tiger Cats do not mind giving up those type of passes to them. Keep the ball in front of them. Don't let them get the big score or the big play into the end zone quickly.
Richards and Sinkar have been alternating at that slot back position. And there's an injured Hamilton Ticat. Frank Robinson is the player who is down.
The nice thing about this now is that Ed Gadavakis gets the chance to play. He's been around a few years, was a starter until this man came along, Frank Robinson. They're going to get them all into the football game today. And, you know, there's so many great football players never had the opportunity to play in a Grey Cup, let alone win it. They're going to all get their shot today.
Well, Frank Robinson looks as though he's going to pick up his second Grey Cup ring with his second team. He was with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 1984.
Well, Don, I think you said the right thing there when you talked about a Grey Cup ring. Talking to the guys, you know, you get paid for the game, but the more important thing is to win a championship and have that Grey Cup ring. And if you ask any of those players down the field, that's the key to this game, being the champion and winning. And that's what they want, is that ring.
2nd and 1 for the Edmonton Eskimos. Gadavakis comes into the ball game, replacing Robinson. Doug Allen goes wide left. Kelly comes out to the right. Dunnigan keeps. He gets the first down. 6:22 is the time left. 36-7 the score. The Ticats totally dominating in the first half, allowing the Eskimos very few offensive opportunities. As a matter of fact, their net offense was -1 through the first 30 minutes. And that's one of the reasons it was a -1. Another quarterback sack with Ed Gadavakis that time breaking through to drop Matt Dunnigan.
Well, we talked in the opening just about a 5-man rush by the Hamilton Tiger Cats, that they would control the inside, and coming from the outside is Ed Gadavakis, the linebacker. And watch him squeeze him down. He gets the outside pressure. Those 3 men inside keep him contained. Get him from the outside. They got him.
They almost had him again, but Dunnigan got away. And he's down by Grover Covington back at the 39-yard line. He had a reprieve, but he couldn't escape Grover Covington on a great second effort by the Hamilton defensive end. And that's 10 sacks now for 87 yards.
One of the things about Matt Dunnigan is the fact that when people put the rush on him, he's able to duck and elude the tackle and get free upfield. Today, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, after he's eluded them, are picking him up again and making the tackle before he breaks the line of scrimmage and gets upfield. And they're doing an outstanding job of putting the pressure on him that way. One guy might miss, but there are 3 other guys who are coming very quickly on him.
The man who missed him initially is the player down, Mike Walker. He's had an outstanding season for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I think he might just be a little winded.
Well, you know, they've played with so much intensity today. It's awful warm in the dome at the best of times. And when you get things going as they did early in the football game, you do use up an awful lot of energy, and they have chased Matt Dunnigan all over this field today. They've got to be a little bit tired, but they're a happy tired, and that's the difference.
You see the time remaining, 5:09, with the score 36-7 in favor of the Hamilton Tiger Cats over the Edmonton Eskimos. Mike Walker is still down. And it's been that type of an afternoon for Jackie Parker. As we wait for Walker to be assisted off the field, let's join Steve Armitage at the Hamilton bench.
John, I've got the Rock with me. Rocky DiPietro. Rocky, you're 5:09 away from the Grey Cup. Can you taste it?
We can taste it. We're starting to right now. We just don't want to celebrate to the end. But I'll tell you, the defense has played a great game today, and they've carried us for the last 3 years, and this is a great tribute to them.
The offense hasn't been too shabby. It came through when it had to.
Well, we put some points on the board, but they gave us great field position all day, and great team effort. That's what it took to get us here, and I think we showed it today.
Is this the high in a long career, Rock?
Very high right now. I'll tell you, I'm going to enjoy it for the next 6 months.
Don, back to you.
Well, a little disappointment on Thursday night for Rocky DiPietro when he was the runner-up to Joe Poplawski for the Shenley Award as the outstanding Canadian. But I'm sure the performance this afternoon will compensate.
Well, I guarantee you, Don, for winning, I think you'll take winning that championship over the individual honor that you could get as a Shenley Award. That's a great honor to be up for the Shenley and win it. But the whole key is working as a team and winning the championship.
Well, I said that Mike Walker may have just been winded. Unfortunately for Walker, it appears to be more serious than that, as he's assisted off the field by Jason Riley and Ralph Scholes. Tom Dixon drops back to punt. Good kick that Paul Bennett takes at the 27-yard line, and he simply steps out of bounds. Penalty flag flies as I think it was Larry Ruck who made the late hit. No, it may have been Craig Schaefer over there. Bennett stepped out of bounds.
Major, on this.
Well, the foul is definitely against the Edmonton Eskimos, and that will improve the field position for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Well, you take the ball down there on the punt return. Paul just steps out of bounds, and Ruck just sticks his helmet in his back while he's out of bounds and make the hit late. You can't have that. You can't do that. That's very dangerous.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 47-yard line with 4:46 remaining in the game. Ken Hobart, the quarterback. He's going to run with it. And he is upset on the far side of the field by Ron Howard, the cornerback.
Well, so often, Don, when the Hamilton Tiger Cats send both of those backs in motion to one side and Ken Hobart's in the game, they automatically expect him to sprint to that side. So they overplay it, and that's why he's coming back trying to run the draw himself.
He managed to pick up 3 yards at 2nd and 7. The ball at the 51. 4:08 is the time left to play. Hobart throwing deep for Stapler. It's intercepted. Ron Howard steps in front of Steve Stapler to abbreviate that Ken Hobart throw. And the Eskimos take over with 3:58 left in the game.
Well, the reason that was intercepted is the heat was put on Ken Hobart, and when it was, he just threw the ball without getting set and lofted it up in the air, and that left the defensive back in a position where he could just float right under it and pick it off for the interception. You got to get planted. In this case, he didn't have a whole lot of time to get planted and throw the ball.
Well, when you come with a halfback blitz, Jeff George came number 29. Hobart knew right now there's no one to pick him up. He gambled and lost.
Damon Allen, the quarterback. Throwing that screen to Milson Jones. And Gadavekas comes over to make the tackle. Jones worked his way out to the 38-yard line. Matt Dunnigan started the ball game. He and Damon Allen have alternated in the second half, although Dunnigan has done most of the signal calling for the Edmonton Eskimos. 2nd and 2, Edmonton.
with time to throw over the middle. A first down as it's complete to Marco Sinkar. But Ben Zambiazzi from his middle linebacking position makes the tackle. The first catch of the afternoon for Sinkar, who, by the way, was with the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the 1980 Grey Cup game. So he's been on the losing side in a rout, both times with different teams. With the score, Hamilton 36 and Edmonton 7, Grey Cup 86. We'll be back in just a moment. In this year's Grey Cup game, the Carling O'Keefe Sports Game Stars will each receive a 36-inch Sony Videoscope state-of-the-art television set presented by Remington, makers of the 3M surgical clippers and the microscreen rechargeable. Advanced shaving technology only from Remington. To the live action as Damon Allen throws deep. He's looking for Kelly. Incomplete. He was being covered by Lance Shields. You know, picking those defensive game stars is going to be a tough chore. Hugh Campbell, who led the Eskimos to those 5 straight Grey Cup triumphs that ended in 1982, now in the role of general manager, looking on from the press box here at the BC Place Stadium.
That's his wife, Louise Campbell. Awful happy to be back in Edmonton, but they can't be happy with today's performance. But hey, that's the way it goes. He was concerned about the youth on his football club, and it's come true.
Well, he cautioned them after their win in the Western Final over the BC Lions that you haven't won it yet, fellas. Pass complete to Rick House. And House is down to the 27-yard line. Lance Shields made the tackle. Campbell was concerned that they may have thought the Western Championship against BC was their Grey Cup game.
Well, both teams are coming off of a highly emotional game last week, and it was just going to be the matter of which team would be able to sustain that emotion and carry it over this game. And I think the experience of the Hamilton Tiger Cats has been the one factor that's led them to a victory here this afternoon.
A 40-yard gain on that pass to Rick House. 2:29 remaining in the ball game. 1st and 10. Movement at the line of scrimmage. Penalty flags fly, and Damon Allen stepped away from the quarterback. Didn't have the football.
Procedure, Edmonton number 67.
Rod Conniff is guilty of the procedure call. What a year it's been for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, starting the season 1-5, and then facing a 14-point deficit going into the second game of the 2-game total point Eastern Final, falling behind by 26, overcoming that to defeat the Toronto Argonauts, and then routing the Edmonton Eskimos, the heavy favorites, in the Grey Cup game. Howard Fields knocked down the throw. It will be 2nd and 15.
Well, that's just an example of those Ticat linebackers are dropping awful deep. They're playing that zone defense, and you've got to be very, very accurate to throw it 25 yards down the field and get it between the deep backs and the linebackers. That's very hard to do, especially now. They're not worried about that 10-yard pass. It's not going to hurt them.
The only thing I'm disappointed in this afternoon is that Harold Ballard didn't show up at the BC Place Stadium with the Tiger that he paraded to center ice at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto last night.
I'm sure Harold will have something to say after this ball game. He knew they were going to win. That's what he says.
Damon Allen completes it to Kelly. He loses the football. Everybody going after it. It's still loose and finally picked up by Doug Allen. And he is stopped by Jim Rockford.
Thought it was a soccer game.
Well, this has been anything but the tidiest football game of the year, but with that ball bouncing all over the place, the Edmonton Eskimos, Doug Allen, finally comes up with it.
Kelly makes the catch, but what the hit. Boy, he took a heck of a hit from Howard Fields, and now the ball is loose. It's everywhere. It looked like Paul Bennett even tried to kick it. Doug Allen picks it up. Rockford brings him down, but the thing that people don't realize is Hugh Campbell was concerned about the youth of his football club. as you see, Harold Ballard's got to be a very, very happy man. Al Bruno has stuck with those veterans, makes very few changes, and I think that there's not many football fans or people in the country that don't understand. You win with experience, and they have the experience on their side today.
Well, as Pat Marsden said at the start of the telecast, as Harold Ballard goes down to field level and gets quite an ovation from the spectators here at BC Place Stadium. As Pat said, when the players were introduced, you could see the intensity on the face of the Edmonton Eskimos. They were all pumped up, and it was a businesslike approach by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They've been through it on 2 previous occasions. They came out here with a job to do, and they did it.
And most of them were here for those other 2 losses, and that's the key. They knew coming in they did not want to go down 3 in a row, and they did everything in their power, and it's come out their way.
Damon Allen will run the football to the 11-yard line. He will get about 6 or 7 yards with 1:53 remaining. You know, a lot of people were less than complimentary this year about the performance of teams in the Eastern Conference. The Edmonton Eskimos won the Western Division. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, with a strong second half, finished second in the East, but certainly turned it on at playoff time. Is it intercepted? No, they rule that Terry Linney did not have possession of the ball. He is protesting, saying that he did have it, but those complaints fall on deaf ears once again.
Don, you know, I look down on the game in the field and look at Mike Kerrigan, and there's such a tremendous parallel to the Grey Cup win in '72. Come back from a playoff game when you're behind, come back in a situation, the first-year quarterback, and I'm, you know, me being the one in '72, and now to come back and win the Grey Cup. And it's a good thing for the Hamilton fans and the Hamilton team to be in this situation.
3rd down with 1:35 remaining. Damon Allen to the end zone. Kelly's got it for the touchdown. Well, we have spoken glowing terms about the Hamilton Tiger Cats and their defensive play, but you have to give the Edmonton Eskimos full marks for their character in continuing to fight right to the final seconds, even though it was over after 30 minutes, basically.
Well, I think you have to give them credits for their entire season. You know, they finished in first place, had the best record in the CFL. Just the way it goes. There's not much you can do about it. It's a one-game shot. They didn't have it today. It was Hamilton Tiger Cats all the way.
And the Edmonton Eskimos are going after the 2-point conversion. Damon Allen may run this one in. He does. So it's a 2-point convert with Damon Allen running it in. And that makes it a 36-15 ball game in favor of the Hamilton Tiger Cats with 1:30 left on the clock.
Well, they had a good year, the Edmonton Eskimos. I don't think in the beginning of the year a lot of people would have picked them to be in this particular situation with the youth and the people that they had at hand to them, but now they were able to get to the Grey Cup, and unfortunately for them, they caught the Hamilton Tiger Cats on a bad day for them.
And a great day for the Ticats, led by their defensive squad that set the tempo of this ball game on the very first play with the sack by Grover Covington, forcing the fumble by Matt Dunnigan.
That's about it, and what a way for it to go. You know, as we heard DiPietro talk about how well that defense of theirs has played this year, it's only right that they should come up big in the biggest game of the season. Mike Kerrigan, though his stats weren't that great, Steve Stapler got open, he found him, they put it out of reach early, and then that defense just gave it to him the rest of the way. It's a great team victory, and that's the way it should be.
Well, both of you gentlemen have sipped champagne from the Grey Cup in your championship years, 1966 for Ron Lancaster, 1972 for Chuck Ely. And there'll be some celebrating going on down in that Hamilton Tiger Cat dressing room in a short time. The short kickoff attempt. Who's got the ball? Hamilton has recovered.
Well, Rocky DiPietro had the opportunity to make the catch. He dropped the ball, but the ball came back to him, so they get the football with 1:27 You can now, Tom Porras gets his opportunity to play. This is great. The third quarterback gets into the game. You see the short kickoff. DiPietro will go high, catch it his highest point, but he drops it. And he's very fortunate. It hits somebody's leg, and it comes right back into his arms.
Well, Tom Porras goes out, the third quarterback to be used by the Hamilton Tiger Cats this afternoon, Grover Covington. A standout all day, continually applying pressure. Porras has entertained his teammates during the week. He does a great imitation of Elvis Presley.
Well, he's a good singer, and you're going to see after the game they've got a plan for him to do some singing for the team.
Well, that is what he does in the off-season. He does some country and western singing as he hits the nightclub circuit in the United States. He works basically in the state of Arizona. An injured Hamilton player. Paul Bennett is the player down. A tremendous career this man has had. Toronto, Winnipeg, and Hamilton.
Sorry, Don. I said it was a big win for Paul Bennett because I was talking to him right before the game on the field. And all the times I played with Paul and against Paul, I never saw him so intense and dedicated as far as playing in the game this afternoon. He sat there and he says, man, we want this one, and we want it very badly. We've been here for the last couple of years, and now it's our opportunity to win it.
Tom Porras directs the Hamilton attack from the 50-yard line. He gives the ball to Dan Hucklack, and he fights to the 40 of the Edmonton Eskimos, stopped by Jeff Volpe. Quite a comeback as well for Dan Hucklack. It looked like his career was ended a couple of years ago when he suffered a broken leg at Taylor Field in Regina while playing for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He came back briefly with the Edmonton Eskimos, then with Montreal, cast adrift, and he found a job with the Hamilton Tiger Cats this year, and he's going to be rewarded with a Grey Cup check and a Grey Cup ring.
Tom Porras just thinking first downs. He's at 1:05 on the clock. Second down at 8. He knows if they can run this football a couple more times, this game is over. The defense has done their job. All the celebrating going on the sidelines, well deserved.
We're into the final minute of the football game. 36-15. The Ticats en route to a Grey Cup triumph over the Edmonton Eskimos. Porras will keep this one. And he goes down at the 40-yard line. He got back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, Tom Porras did a smart thing that time. Usually you want to tell that quarterback to get to the sidelines and get out of bounds. But he had the presence of mind to fall down right inside the inbounds, or the out-of-bounds marker to keep that clock running.
And Paul Osbaldiston is going to get an opportunity to equal a Grey Cup record. A record that was set in 1977 by Don Sweet of the Montreal Alouettes, his 6th field goal try. From 47 yards out, and Osbaldiston puts it through. What a storybook year for this young man.
It's hard to believe, you know, that he's been with 3 different football teams, but he was with the right one when it counted. He made a statement the other day that when he was kicking in here, that since he's come back to BC Place, that the goalposts are a little bit wider. Well, he sure has hit them today.
I was talking to him the other day, and I said, Paul, you're from Richmond. Have you had a lot of requests for Grey Cup tickets? He said, yes, but the only 2 people I'm giving them to are my mother and my father. That equals a Grey Cup record for Paul Osbaldiston. And the Ticats lead 39-15. And I think even bigger rewards might be in store for the 22-year-old from Richmond. Damon Allen throwing that screen to Chris Johnston. He fights out to midfield with 14 seconds left.
You know, you talk about running backs. We said that in the show that this Chris Johnston is a heck of a football player. He's 6'3" and about 225 pounds. come out of the Edmonton Wildcat chain to a junior college in California, but he's going to be heard from in the next few years. They've got 3 good ones.
A 20-yard gain for Chris Johnston. This could be the final play of the ball game. There's a penalty flag. Damon Allen running around, and who's there but Grover Covington with 3 seconds left in the clock, along with David Sauvé.
Procedure, number 59.
Procedure call against the Edmonton Eskimos. 4 sacks this afternoon for Grover Covington. Boy, picking that defensive game star is going to be a tough chore. Zambiazzi has played brilliantly. Covington has played extremely well. He's been absolutely brilliant. Lance Shields, I think, has played a fine ball game at the corner. David Sauvé at a defensive end position. Leo Ezerins. Well, this should be the ball game. The pass to Milson Jones, a screen pass, and Milson Jones is forced out of bounds, and as Al Bruno is hoisted onto the shoulders of Jason Raleigh, and the Ticats begin to celebrate their 39-15 victory over the Edmonton Eskimos, a win that has to be described as an upset.
Well, you can say it's an upset, but you'll never convince any of those guys in the black jerseys down there that it was an upset. They felt they were going to win coming in, and they didn't let themselves down.
And you have to feel good for Al Bruno because he has struggled, and at times, even when he brought his team to the Grey Cup, they've talked about releasing him as a coach and all the pressures that come on him. And now, after 3 trips here on his 4th trip, he wins the Grey Cup.
Matt Dunnigan over to congratulate Al Bruno. He said he didn't want to be known as a coach who came to a Grey Cup 3 consecutive years and did not win it. Well, he does not fall into that category because he heads home with the Grey Cup. And down at field level, they're now getting set to present that Grey Cup, and a smiling Harold Ballard is ready, along with Commissioner Doug Mitchell.
On behalf of football fans everywhere in Canada, it's a pleasure to present the Grey Cup to Harold Ballard, Joe Zuger, and the players of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
So the Grey Cup will reside in Hamilton at least for the next year. This is Grey Cup 86 from BC Place in Vancouver.
Well, tough to pick. Certainly the defensive one was particularly tough to pick, but the big one goes to who?
The offensive game star, I believe, is the first game star we're going to acknowledge this afternoon. And Mike Kerrigan, the quarterback of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the first opportunity he had to take advantage of a turnover, he threw the strike to Steve Stapler, and he completed 15 passes for 306 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 2 intercepted, but he certainly picked his spots.
And the great thing about Kerrigan late in the season was he afforded Hamilton that much-needed offense that they had to put together with their great defense, which they showed here this afternoon. So let's talk about the defensive game star.
Any number of players could have been selected as the defensive game star, but the man the voters chose, Grover Covington. He set the tempo on the very first play of the ball game by sacking Matt Dunnigan, forcing the fumble, and he had 4 quarterback sacks this afternoon.
Well, there's no question that Ben Zambiazzi had a terrific game himself, but the guy who really was the litmus for this whole thing was Grover Covington. He was all over the field, coming from his defensive end spot. There was no blocking scheme that could keep him out of that Edmonton backfield. As a result, you saw what happened, and it was all over by the middle of the first quarter.
You have to be so happy for Paul Osbaldiston, a young man who came into this stadium where he started his CFL career, emerges as the Canadian player of the game. 6 field goals, equaling a Grey Cup record.
And he also was very instrumental in Hamilton getting to this Grey Cup game to be in a position to win it, because without his field goal kicking when Bernie Ruoff went down, Hamilton wouldn't have really had a shot against the Argonauts in the Eastern Final. But Osbaldiston stepped into a big hole that the Ruoff injury had created. He comes back. I agree with you. It's nice to see him have a big game and win the Canadian Player of the Game award.
So the Carling O'Keefe Sports Game stars: offensively, Mike Kerrigan of the Ticats; defensively, Grover Covington; and the Canadian Player of the Game, Paul Osbaldiston. This is Grey Cup 86 from BC Place in Vancouver.
Representing the East in the Grey Cup game for the third consecutive year, the Hamilton Tiger Cats have won their first CFL championship since 1972. But don't let anybody say third time lucky to you. The Tiger Cats didn't need any luck to win today. They had their chin straps strapped on tight and just overwhelmed Edmonton with their physical and punishing defense. Right now, it's trying to stay dry in the dressing room. Al McCann and Steve Armitage with the winners.
Okay, Brian, we've got a bit of a madhouse naturally in this Grey Cup winning dressing room, and we've got the stars of the game. Steve, take it away with the offensive star.
Well, we have the president of Carling O'Keefe with us, Mr. Don Twiner. Mr. Twiner, why don't you present the Carling O'Keefe offensive game star to Hamilton's Mike Kerrigan?
Great pleasure, Mike. Well done. Congratulations on a super game.
And now we should call upon the president to perhaps make the presentation to the defensive game star, Grover Covington from the Hamilton Ticats.
Thank you. Praise the Lord.
5 sacks, Grover. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I just have to say that I'd like to just, first of all, give praise and honor to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And it was a total team effort. And it's been so long. I've been in the league 6 years. And this is I can't believe it's great. I just thank you.
Al, we have one more presentation to make, and we'll call upon Mr. Twiner once again to make the presentation to outstanding Canadian, to Paul Osbaldiston of the Ticats.
Congratulations.
There's all the Tiger Cats are there. I'd like to say hi to Todd Holder and Hamilton. How you doing, Todd?
Paul, 6 field goals. You tied the Grey Cup record. How do you feel about that?
It hasn't hit me yet. You know, for someone who was the last guy drafted in the 7th round this year, all the people I've seen this year, I want to thank Lou and Trevor Kennard and Bob Cameron in Winnipeg and Bernie Ruoff here. Thanks, guys. You helped me out a lot.
Unbelievable year for you, the way you moved around to finish up a champion.
It hasn't hit. It's been unbelievable. It couldn't have been a better year. To learn as much as I have and gone through for someone as young as I am, unbelievable.
Congratulations, Paul.
Thank you.
Al, I've got Mike Kerrigan with me. Mike, a couple of weeks ago, you must have wondered if you'd ever be in this dressing room.
First of all, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Without him, it's impossible. Last week, we came in at halftime. We had momentum, but before the halftime, we were down by 26 points. We had no idea we'd be here today, and the way we wanted it was unbelievable.
Mike, the whole team was so calm, cool, and collected. You just went out there and did your job.
Yeah, we did. Defense has made opportunities for the offense, and Edmonton's got a great ball club. Their defense never gave up. We didn't score that many touchdowns. Paul came through with some key kicks. In Edmonton, they're tough. They play tough all year, but this is unbelievable.
Okay, thank you very much, Mike Kerrigan. That's the scene here in the dressing room of the victorious Hamilton Ticats.
Well, if this game was not over at halftime when the Ticats were up 29-0, it did end midway through the third quarter when Mike Kerrigan gunned a 44-yard touchdown to Ron Ingram. The Tabbies up 36-0, cruise to win Grey Cup 86. This is Grey Cup 86 from BC Place in Vancouver.
Okay, Brian, what a story this man is. Just third trip to the Grey Cup, but this year 1-5 early in the season. Everybody wrote you off. Well, 26 points down in the Eastern Final. Everybody wrote you off, and here you are, the Grey Cup champ.
Same thing. Everybody, felt the same way this week against Edmonton. But it had to be a team effort. I feel so good for the coaching staff, the players, and we forced the breaks and we capitalized on them. And particularly our 30 and over gang. They did one hell of a job. It was a total team effort, and I just still can't believe we won the Grey Cup.
Al, you really did. From the very first play when Dunnigan had the ball slapped out of his hand, you took over.
Well, I'll tell you that's how aggressive they were, and then they had another fumble, and they just played so aggressively. We contained them. We did what we had to do. The coaches got the defense ready. Offense got the offense ready. Special teams, everybody played a terrific ball game. That's why we won.
Did they do anything to surprise you? Obviously not.
No, they did the same things we did. The basic stuff that we used to win with, they did the same thing. We just took it away from them, and everything they tried, we had a defensive guy on them, and because our defense played one hell of a ball game.
Coach, congratulations. Particularly, you had a lot of injuries too, but I'll tell you, a lot of kids came in and filled holes for you.
They sure did. Rocker came in, Sanderson came in hurt, Grout, he was hurt, he coming back in. We just had a lot of heart, and they wanted to play this one and win it.
Al, congratulations. Well deserved. Well deserved. Okay, Steve.
Al, I've got a very, very happy gentleman with me now, Mr. Harold Ballard. Mr. Ballard, congratulations.
Thank you very much, but the way we've been playing this last couple of weeks, they should have just given us the trophy anyways, because Argonauts were lousy, so lousy that this wasted our time. But this team here tried, which the Argonauts didn't do. So I'll have to say to the players here, they're marvelous. God bless them. And I hope that they all come back next year so we can do it again.
Mr. Ballard, there was some talk that perhaps maybe you wanted to sell this team to the city of Hamilton. Still feel that way?
Not a bit, not a bit.
Okay, take a drink out of that Grey Cup. He's going to kiss the Grey Cup first. Now drink out of it, sir. Oh, I bet you that tastes great. Now, if only the Leafs could get together, Mr. Ballard, perhaps and win the Stanley Cup. That'd be even nicer.
Oh.
Mr. Ballard is kissing the Grey Cup. Sir, wouldn't it be nice if you could cop the double and have them win the Stanley Cup?
It's on the way now.
Okay, Mr. Ballard, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
From a very, very happy Harold Ballard and the dressing room scene here at BC Place Stadium, the victorious Hamilton Ticat dressing room. Right now, we're going to CFL Control.
Thanks very much, Steve. Boy, he's a wonderful man, isn't he, Harold Ballard? You know, it was in 1912 that the Hamilton Alerts won their very first Grey Cup. That was the 4th Grey Cup. And here in 1986, they win their 14th, the 74th edition. And you really have to take your hats off to Al Bruno and all the Tiger Cats. They have battled back all year long. They lost 5 of their first 6 games. People wrote them off. They were down 26 points to the Argonauts in the CFL's Eastern Final. People wrote them off. No one here in Vancouver gave them a prayer going up against the powerful Edmonton Eskimos. But they didn't have to come from behind today. They scored 2 quick ones early and put it away, and they win the 1986 Grey Cup.